Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian here with Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and welcome to another episode of the Power Hour.
Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 81. And this is our biggest episode yet because we have a fuckload of guests on tonight. We've got both officers Kevin and Grant of the Thought Cops. And, not only that, audio producer extraordinaire Zwick.
Hello.
Yo, what's up?
Do we all say hi at the same time?
Yeah.
Is that...
Yeah, it's high syncing.
Yeah, I was going to say 3, 2, 1, hi. Okay.
How's it going tonight, guys?
It's good. You got Grant movie and Kevin podcast and Zwick, whatever the fuck Zwick is.
Bisexual Limp Bizkit. Sometimes I go
Bisexual Limp Bizkit.
Yeah. Funny story. I haven't had a daddy soda in a long time, so I figured this would be a great time to bring it up. And I went all over this fucking shitty town. Couldn't find bottles of Red's Apple Ale, so I had to get cans and dump it into a cup and pour it in that way. Not the traditional
nasty.
way.
That is very funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Nice. Grant, I see, did I just see you took a shot, and I see you drinking some beer, so what you got?
Well, yeah, so what happened is I misread when we were supposed to be doing this, and I was trying to get as drunk as possible, and I'm not even halfway there yet but then I was notified that we were 8 p.m. Central and not 9 p.m. Central. So I took like 5 shots just now to try and catch up with where I would have been at 9 p.m. Central.
Wow.
So I got some wild turkey, which is what I've been taking shots of. But then I've got a Wisconsin favorite. New Glarus Spotted Cow is tonight's drink of choice.
Nice.
This is one of my favorite beers. It's a classic. Anytime you go up to Wisconsin, you gotta buy a big case of it, and you gotta bring it home because it's only made in Wisconsin, and you can't get it anywhere else.
And it's the only reason to go to Wisconsin.
Exactly.
How about you, Grant, or Kevin? You drinking anything tonight?
Yes, I don't have any beer. However, I do have a Chicago staple here. This would be Jepson's Malort. Shit, I don't think you can see it with the fucking
There you go.
It's visible. It's there.
Yeah.
Jepson's Malort. It's a wormwood-based schnapps. This is a classic drink you give to anybody who comes to visit Chicago. Now, people say it tastes awful. They say it tastes like grapefruit and earwax, and
It does. That's correct.
I don't dislike it. So I'm gonna pour myself a shot right now. I haven't drank in a while actually. So
You saying that you don't dislike it does not disprove the fact that it tastes like grapefruit and earwax.
An acquired taste, some could say.
I never said it didn't taste like that. I just said it didn't taste bad.
Right, I'm just saying that it doesn't disprove that yet.
Wormwood.
Not bad. Not bad.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I love the earlier episodes when you guys would be drinking Malort, and it was
Yeah.
almost like a taste you could hear through the microphone,
Yeah.
which is like the guttural
can.
reactions.
Yeah.
We've done a couple since then. I was actually thinking about that earlier today, Grant. I was like, we used to drink a lot in the earlier episodes.
Yeah, I think because of quarantine, like, drinking kind of grosses me out now. But like I'm ready to get back into it. I'm ready to ruin my life. Who's with me?
I'm here.
Hell yeah.
Cheers
I'm
to
already
that.
halfway there.
Jim, what are you drinking tonight?
All right, starting off tonight, I have the Hazy Vacation from the Resident Brewing Company. What the hell kind of thing is this? I just kind of grabbed it out of
If
my
it's
thing real
hazy,
quick.
my guess is a hazy IPA.
Yeah, pretty much just a hazy IPA. 8.5% though, so.
Do they brew that in the Hazy Mazy Cave from Super Mario 64?
Kevin, how would you know about this level that you speak of?
Oh, I wouldn't know. My fucking package got delayed. Well, I suppose we'll get to that.
That's what I tell women when I can't perform in bed is that my package got delayed.
Damn. Was that off the dome just now?
That was straight off the dome. See, the liquor hall makes me funnier.
Wow.
That's the Wisconsin coming out already.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like getting in a car and getting behind the wheel and driving as fast as I can right now.
Just wear your seatbelt. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah.
That's
makes
all
it
that
safe.
matters. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right, so tonight I'm sticking with just Yingling Oktoberfest. I actually just finished. We started and I finished it already. I got a whole bunch of these. This is, the last of the Oktoberfest beers I'll probably have. And if you know anything about PA, you probably know about Yingling. It ain't nothing that special, but it. Do they have a percentage?
But it's only September.
Exactly. But in Germany, the Oktoberfest is in September.
Oh, you just got owned, man.
It's so confusing.
You look stupid.
It
now.
makes
I think-
no sense whatsoever.
I think that the Germans are just that backwards.
They've gotten some things wrong in the past.
Yeah, a couple, yeah.
So wait, Bri, what do they do in October then?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Pumpkin spice.
Yeah.
They get very basic in October.
Damn, don't say
They get
basic.
drunk and then
You
they
son of a
eat
bitch.
sausage and wear lederhosen. I think that's
Yeah,
the
they
tradition.
exchanged their lederhosen for thigh-high Ugg boots and leggings.
So, Kevin, I need to know, because I've been dying since we first got on this call.
Yes.
Got to explain that background.
Okay, so my background, as you can see, is this is Bowser from the Super Mario Brothers series, and he's looking a little bit different. He's got a split tongue, pierced nipples. He's sort of doing a little thing with his nipples. I downloaded this picture for a video for Thought Cops, and it was just like an overlay because we were talking about how Bowser had sex on a Twitch stream, so I just had this picture just like slowly appear on screen. And the funny thing was, I had the file saved in my recent documents, and at work, because I'm working remotely currently, my boss had to do a team viewer to check something, and he didn't say he was just going to open up my documents.
Oh,
and
no.
the first file he saw was something I smartly labeled Bowser Dick. And there's no way he didn't see it.
That's not Bowser. That's New York Governor Andrew Cuomo.
A striking resemblance.
I see it.
Big Cuomo or Little Cuomo, the reporter?
Big
Andrew.
Cuomo, the one with the pierced nipples.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
The reporter's Chris.
The
I wish I didn't know
meatball.
that.
Wait, one of them has pierced nipples?
Yeah, the mayor in New York has, or not the mayor, the
Yeah.
governor of New York.
Zwick, don't you listen to the Thought Cops episodes that we send you to edit?
Yeah, but I literally listen and then forget because I literally now I edit like 3 episodes of podcasts now. This then the Stereos and then Roast Mortem, and then so it's like I literally just have to like belt through, listen through all of them, make sure nobody says any gamer words, and then just push it out.
Fair enough.
Brian,
Zwick.
no gamer words tonight?
Zwick, I give you credit. That's crazy that you're editing out those 3 guys or 3 series. That's nuts.
Yeah,
A lot of bad words.
Yeah, and then to be fair, no one has said a gamer word yet. And then I'm also
Thank
editing
you.
for Jank, but that's like a monthly podcast, and that's only like Patreon, so like.
That's not as bad. Nice.
Yeah, monthly's fine. Yeah, but the weekly ones, it's just like you got. I hate it when I'm late for a deadline because I know when I'm waiting for a show that I like, I hate it when it's like late or like I'm about to go to work and I can listen to the podcast at work and then maybe I can't download it at work. So like that's always a thing I do is try to get it on time as best as possible. And I've kind of been slacking on that lately because now I'm working a 3rd shift job. But
He does it all.
yeah.
Damn. So what you're saying is when Grant and Kevin go twice a week, that's really gonna screw with you?
I hope they don't go twice.
Fired
I
Bros
never
weeks.
put that much work into anything that I do.
Yeah, we throw a lot his way, so we do appreciate it.
Plus,
Well,
all the
to be
Zwick
fair,
also
I bring
edits
it-
like a lot of our videos and stuff too.
Yeah.
So
And to be
Yeah.
fair, I kind of force you guys to do it. Like every time you're like, you guys are kind of like, can you handle it? I'm like, yeah, sure. And like, you don't see behind me like the sleep that I'm putting off and the work I'm putting off, everything else I'm putting off. It's like, no. And it's like I literally beg you guys to like let me fucking do it. And like I think you guys sometimes you're like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. And then I do it, and then I'm like, I love doing it. It's the point is like it's hard work, but it's like I would rather do this than do nothing in quarantine because like I have I'm living in Iowa and I hate everyone in Iowa right now.
Disgusting.
So, yeah.
We're giving you something to do.
Yeah, so it's either that or I stare at a wall and just, wait for the next thing to happen.
God
Damn.
dude.
Yeah, dude. Like, I'm glad I got I had said this before, but my last job was fucking terrible. Like, my manager was like the giant piece of shit, like, actually racist, would complain about the Jews for COVID-19 happening or something like that within earshot of customers. And I'm like, meanwhile, he's complaining that my pants are gray instead of black. And I'm like, it was like the stupidest fucking bullshit I've ever had to deal with.
Zwick, were you working for Adolf Hitler? Was your boss? Is that?
No, he wasn't.
Your uniform does not match. Yeah. Also, the Jews started COVID.
Did he ever complain of your gray Jew pants, though? That's the real question.
Yeah, I hid the Star of David underneath the leg, so that way he couldn't find it.
Your secret little fuck you to him.
Yeah.
So for those of people out there who don't know by now, and really, how do you not? Guys, tell them what Thought Cops is all about. Tell them everything about all the content, because you guys put out a shitload of stuff, both every week and monthly.
There you go.
Yeah. We do this main podcast, Thought Cops, every single week. Well, pretty much every single week. And we talk about basically whatever dumb shit happens on the internet. We kind of rip on it, satirize it. We got a lot of different comedians, YouTubers, podcasters. You guys have been on before. Mm-hmm. We talk about all kinds of... Basically, we're all forced to see this stuff on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and everything every single week. So I think it's kind of become a point where people who listen to the show are like, they're finding things for us to talk about. Or they're like, ooh, I can't wait to hear them talk about Soupgate. And then I have to research what Soupgate is.
I still don't know.
I think it had to do with that fucking... God, what was it? The stew thing with Adam Carolla. But anyway, we...
was that Soupgate?
I thought you made that up.
They might have been... Shit. No. It was a real thing. But yeah, we do the show. Grant and I do it every week. And try to just have a laugh with all the crazy shit going on out there, We've been doing it for 3.5 years, just about every single week. We do a bonus show every month, Fire Bros. We do a lot of streaming on Twitch, especially as of recent. Yeah. Anything else you want to add, Grant?
Yeah, the re-educationing videos, which I have deemed the window to Thought Cops, because we've been doing these, 3-minute long YouTube videos that are essentially just teaching normies, for lack of a better term, about the internet by teaching them such things such as... I talk about PragerU in a video. Soon coming up, Kevin did a video about Minecraft. I did one other one on BreadTube, and we're just going to keep churning out these 3-minute long videos that hopefully get people to listen to the podcast and engage in the community. So,
yeah, I've caught a couple of them. I really enjoy them, especially after going on your guys' shows. I love those, and I think they are a perfect just snippet, highlight, whatever you want to call it. To get people introduced. But what is it like? How long have you guys been friends prior to doing this? And what was there a specific event that you guys were like, all right, we need to set something up and just talk about this on a podcast? What was really the driver?
Yeah, I think we've known each other for 10 years, I want to say, Grant.
A while, yeah.
Yeah,
long time.
Something like that. But I think we ended up talking about a lot of the same stuff every single time we would see each other. Man, you see this fucking, this is back in 2015, 2014. And then eventually we would do that for a while. And then I know we listened to a lot of the same podcasts, and I know that we both listened to The Biggest Problem in the Universe back when that was still a thing. Mm-hmm. And we listened, I feel like we just were intersecting in a lot of the same circles. And at one point, I think I was like, we should just do a podcast. And then Grant was like, I have an idea for a podcast. So we pretty much we sat down, we sussed it out over the course of an evening and started doing it.
Yeah, Kevin, I think that you still have the first outline of what the show is going to be,
mm-hmm.
right? Yeah. Yeah, because I think we were both creative in different sort of ways. Kevin was working on a podcast and was I think at the time either coming off of your internship at the Onion or like looking for other Onion gigs and stuff like that, and just like between that and I was playing in bands and just sort of going nowhere. And it's just like, well, we're like two creative people that like have a lot in common, and like, why don't we do something together, sort of thing. And it ended up being this, and I think just sort of noticing, because we started in 2017 or so.
Yeah, like the
so
very
that was,
beginning
like,
of 2017.
Yeah, like February 2017. Like, it was coming off the heel of, like, the presidential election and then, like, just the massive culture war, and noticing the prominence of, like, people like Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder and all of these, like, people who were just constantly regurgitating, like, this outrage culture shit, and just sort of, like, looking at it and being like, one, these people are, like, they're very popular, so it's like a fucking, like, vein to mine, you know. And then the other part is like, yeah, I also think that like they have a concerted effort to drive the narrative a certain way, and I disagree with a lot of that shit. And so like I think we can sort of talk about a lot of these topics of like outrage culture and internet culture and just like the fucking miasma of like bullshit that flies through Twitter and everyone's news feeds, and like turn it into something that's maybe hopefully a little more sort of, I guess for lack of a better term, like heartwarmingly funny, as opposed to just like poignant and partisan and just like constantly getting angry at the shit. Because you'll notice despite the content matter, like I think that we're both very like empathetic human beings that like just like laughing at the stupid shit without trying to like shove our opinions down people's throats.
Yeah. It's not a political show. Somebody described it as a current events show, and I don't even know if I agree with that.
Current events, popular events, whatever.
Yeah, it's just, like, I think...
Pop culture.
The big common denominator was that you and I were very interested in, like, internet culture for a long time.
Right.
Like, I think we both spent a lot of time, like, growing up on the internet, like, early forums, reading, like, you know, different satire websites and stuff like that. Yeah. And it kind of came to be, like we're like you said, like we're both creative guys trying to look for some outlet for that. And like I said, I had done a number of projects before that didn't stick. So, you know, to be able to work on another project with like somebody who's also like, you know, narrowed in on it, it was like, okay, well, let's just keep doing this. You know, we live in Chicago as well, so we both had been doing stand up for a little while too. Like I came from like an improv background for a little bit, then I started doing stand-up, and met a lot of different comedians around Chicago, so we'll have, you know, I kind of became, you know, the further we kept doing it, kind of became almost like another digital venue for other people to be on, so, like, oh yeah, so-and-so knows this person, they know this person, oh, you want to be on this, like, you know, they'll mention it to that, like us, or, you know, we'll mention it, whatever. So yeah, it ended up just becoming, you know, whoever, you know, we're kind of friends with, or people we've reached out to online, or we've worked with people since then, and we've kind of just a lot of collaborating, you know?
Yeah, like a nice little network with you guys, and that's why I noticed from your guest. It's funny. I would never say you guys are political by any stretch of the imagination, but you know, when you guys do see topics now, because you've been doing it for 3 years. And you said you had a stand-up background. Yeah. Grant, you said you had, you know, a big creative background. Like, when you see news now, does your mind automatically start gearing towards, all right, how can we get this on the show versus just taking it in normally?
Like, my girlfriend sent me this video the other day. It was this, like, stupid fucking video that Governor Cuomo commissioned Paul Rudd to do this stupid like song and dance about like wearing a mask and stuff, and it was like they were doing irony, but it was so embarrassing that it kind of circled back around to being like just cringe,
completely self-unaware.
And I was like, I'm like, why are you sending this to me? Like, I don't want to see this. And then she's like, well, you're going to see it eventually. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Right. And so yeah, a lot of stuff I will if you look at my screenshots folder on my phone, there's about 20,000 pictures that I can't delete all of them because there's too many at this point. So what I do is I go through the news and I don't even read it anymore. I just screenshot stories. and then like later we'll read them on the show, and it'll be like my authentic reaction to
same.
having to deal with the stuff, because like honestly in my own life I'm so fucking stressed out and depressed that it's like I can't read this during the weekday, but like a second before we record the podcast I'll like open it up and like scroll through and just like that'll be that's enough, you know. That's more thought than most people put into some of this shit. So
And there's a point, too, where it's like, yeah, all this stuff is embarrassing and shitty on Twitter, but there are some times where it's like, I do see something where it's like when the whole Bagel Boss thing happened, I was like, this is our golden goose this week. This is what people want to hear. This is
Right.
what I want to talk about. We're going to talk about this fucking guy who fought off people in a bagel shop and just the whole thing that surrounded that. And before the pandemic, too, we also were dabbling in live shows. We had done a couple of those, and they were a fucking blast.
yeah.
And unfortunately, we had a lot of plans to do more and even go out of state. However, yeah, that got delayed for the time being. So, you know, and like everybody else who's a content creator, we're just kind of treading water and continuing to make stuff.
So you guys are going to
Yeah.
be doing a Asterios level tour, like what he did about a year or two ago?
Well, he was on our tour, and
I did hear that.
did our show.
Yeah, so he came to Chicago, and like we had talked about like doing the show with him for his Chicago date.
Right.
And then he just texted me one day. He's like, do you guys just want to do the whole thing? And we're like, okay. So we just, his Chicago show was just an episode of Thought Cops, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was cool because people who showed up for him ended up coming up to us afterwards, and they're like, yeah, that was fun. You know, I want to check that out.
I like to say
Yes.
that he closed for you guys. It's like when you, like, because Grant knows this being in bands, like, I'm in bands too. It's like playing a gig at, like, Tuesday night at 11 p.m. He's like the 1 a.m. shift who has to, like, close it out, but, like, no one sticks around for it. But you guys were the openers. You were the star attraction.
Yeah,
Well,
I would
actually,
like to think so.
he opened for us, so
shit.
just to let you know.
Well,
He
for
did
that.
his-
He was
he
the
did his
opener and the
stand-up
closer.
bits.
All right,
Yeah,
I
he was
listened
the
to
opener
both
and
in the
the
wrong
closer.
order. Shit.
It was a very
yeah.
strange series of events, and I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, he was the two
was
pieces
a
of
lot of fun,
bread,
though.
and the Thought Cops were the sweet piece of meat in the middle.
Thanks, Zwick.
I got you. It wasn't gay enough. I had to come in. I'm sorry.
You're right. Yeah. What were we thinking?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I can't tell Zwick to cut this out. Brian, cut this out.
I also do like sometimes Zwick
That's
leaves
weird
it in
not
and I
being
say,
on a
hey,
pod-
Zwick, cut that.
Got that, yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Like he knows when to leave it in and when not to. Like sometimes it's like
Right.
we make a joke around it, and then I'm like, all right, fine, we'll keep my blunder in there.
Sometimes he leaves it in too long, and one of us ends up pregnant. We got to run to the
Yeah.
Walgreens and get a Plan B.
Or sometimes he isolates certain audio, like when people go to the bathroom.
Oh
Everything
yeah.
else gets lost in the
that's-
background.
You want to
Yeah.
know you want an
Isolates.
exclusive? You want the exclusive behind the scenes of how I made that?
No.
No, I actually,
I
yeah.
mean, I don't have
Well-
to guess.
Yeah, like basically I did all of the things myself, and then I just I had to set my H4n to make sure it not fell in the toilet, and then like slowly pour in water, and
Oh
then
my God.
it was like this biggest thing, and then like I did all of the actions of washing my hands, coming in, opening the door, and then it didn't sound right, so I was like fine, and then I drank a bunch of water and I just set my recorder down and actually peed to actually get the right fucking sound, and then I put it all in there. Like I spent twice as much time on this actual thing to make it sound authentic than on the actual podcast itself.
And we didn't
just
even ask for it. Nobody asked for it. Nobody was like, hey, Zwick, I'm going to run to the bathroom. Please enter sound effects here. You were just like, I will take it upon myself to do this because I feel as though it's artistically necessary. Thank you.
It is
But,
my
like-
magnum opus. It really is.
I mean, Jim remembers that. I mean, how long ago was that? You know, it sticks in people's mind. That
I
was.
tried to block it out of my memory.
Yeah.
The effort didn't go to waste, Zwick. I just want you to know that. So with all the guests you guys get on there, I know it's a ton of like stand-up guests you guys have met through your time doing stand-up and just a bunch of random internet people. Like, what seems to be like the easier bread and butter to get? Just people you've met between there, or just randomly reaching out?
I mean, honestly, it never hurts to ask. I mean, most people I've asked have been like, sure, you know? And yeah, it's been like a number of people we met doing stand-up, or just kind of people we've worked with on the internet before, people who are, we've had like musicians, animators, all sorts of people who are just doing different creative stuff. And yeah, I mean, just we like a good mix, really.
Yeah, and I do have to say, like, there is like a certain level of camaraderie where, like, you know, like I talked about, I was playing music and stuff before, and everything was just like, you look at a certain band who has more fans than you, and you're just like jealous of them, and you want them to fail so that you succeed, which is like no way to go about your own level of success, you know, is to bank on other people failing, because that doesn't like bring you up, that just pulls everyone down. And there's so many people that like we met through doing the show, like number one person I can think of is like Alex Schultz of Be Nice to Me Productions, who now that we've met him, we met him because one of our fans suggested, like, oh, you should have this guy on your show, he'd be a good fit. And like I just like poured through hours of like his video content and shit, and it's just like we've had him on the show 2 or 3 times. We've been in a number of his videos, and it's one of those things where it's just like, man, if we can make something of this platform, like, I would like for our listeners to check this guy out, and I want to see him succeed. And there's so many other people like him, and Slime to Garbage Main, who, like, I want him to get more listeners, and I want our friend Aaron Klopfer to get more, like, viewers and more subscribers and stuff like that. And it really is just like a big, just collective, like, you know, a rising tide floats all boats sort of things, where it's like, for the first time in my creative ventures, I've been like, I want to see everybody fucking succeed. And if we can like use our little bit of a platform to be able to do that, it's like, yeah, I'm all fucking for it, you know?
And I think that's like the other objective to it, besides just making a funny show, is like just helping out people that we think are talented and getting to work with people who we think are cool and talented.
Right.
So it feels a lot more than like just us.
Yeah.
You know, it feels...
It's a big collaborative project.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, I hate to say, and don't say names if you don't, but have you had anyone on there that you guys kind of like regret it? You're like, ah, shit. Like, they went opposite of all those views you guys feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's one. I don't know.
Yeah, there's like exactly one.
No, I can think of a few for sure. I mean, for
all right, Kevin hates more than Grant.
For a couple different reasons, but like people who have maybe done actual crimes. There's
okay.
Yeah, that's what I was going towards. That's what I was like, because that was
Zwick
actually
and I
a
are
2
on the
minutes of
same
hate.
page.
No, I know. But anyway, that's a little Easter egg for people to find out if you want to go through a backlog.
Sometimes, I mean, you have people on a show and it's just like Kevin said this in our Discord the other day, like, a lot of times we talk to these people for 2 minutes and then it's just like, okay, recording, let's start. And it's just like, I've never talked to this person before in my life, like, we better click. And most of the time we do, and sometimes we don't, but that's not like of any fault of anybody's, you know, like sometimes that just happens. Like, comedic styles don't always fucking intertwine, and you know, sometimes we don't always click with a person, but it's like, I don't really begrudge that in any sort of sense. I more care when somebody's like a complete shithole sort of thing, you know.
But for the most part, I would say I've even made a lot of friends doing the show, just via collaborating and everything. Most of all, I mean, like, I would say like 99% of the people I've really, really enjoyed working with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you say
Has doing this show? Oh no, go ahead, Zwick.
Oh, I was just about to say, would you say Thought Cops is about the friends you made along the way?
No, I wouldn't.
Always was.
I'm sorry I interrupted you for that.
No. No, the question I had is, you guys doing this, is there any topic or thoughts or feelings you guys had on something that, after doing the show this long, has completely reversed your opinions, or just in general made you think differently about situations?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. Shit.
I want to say probably not. If I'm being honest.
I don't know. I feel like I'm very open to a lot of things, and I'm very willing to learn, you know, and I feel like that's a thing that maybe a lot of people, especially in today's like hyper partisan society, are very just against like it, whether you're one side of the political aisle or the other. It's just like, man, nobody wants to just like sort of sympathize with people and maybe like spend a little bit of time like listening to them and shit like that. And it's always one of those things where it's just like, you got to take everything into account, you know? And I feel like even some of the times where we dip into things that are like a little inherently political, and not even for the reasons why you would consider to be political, like we're not debating healthcare or anything like that, but in the culture war, there are a lot of things that are like just inherently political, like your sexual identity or your gender identity. Like that's all become just sort of part of politics, like it or not. And it's one of those things where it's just like, man, you gotta be able to parse some of these things apart and like really try and understand where people are coming from, because like there's a lot of people in today's society that are just like fucking disparate and forlorn and just feel like society has left them behind. And it's just like, before we rag on people and make fun of them, it's like I never want to do that from a place of just like just trying to be a harsh piece of shit asshole, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it also gets to the point where, like, it comes down, like, I don't know if you guys have ever dealt with I thought you were cool until I saw that you followed this person. It's like, there is a chance I'm trying to, like, you know, follow and listen to different opinions than my own, or what's, like, embedded in me. Like, it seems like people are really quick to just jump on to, wrong think, or wrong follow, or shit like that.
I mean, some people have been like, what's with the name of that show? You know what I mean? Like,
I feel like that's happened less and less.
Yeah, that is true. But I would say like a couple years ago, like sometimes people would be like, "Oh, what's up with the name?" And they listen to it, and I guess people have preconceived notions about everything. And I had heard a few people who had thought it was something like different, and then they would listen to it and be like, "Oh, okay, this is not at all what I thought it was." So then you have other people who think it's something else and listen to it and then get mad at us because it wasn't what they thought it was going to be. So
right.
In the end, all you can do is make everybody mad.
No, and Grant, you pointed it out perfectly. I mean, people want to politicize everything. Our last podcast, all we talked about was the fact that the Biden-Harris campaign was in the game Animal Crossing, and we just said we don't want to see politics in video games. And one of the comments is like, "I knew you guys would be against Biden." Like, it became this whole thing. I was like, I just don't want to see goddamn politics in a frigging game. Like, why does that all of a sudden align us? And
we even said it was a smart move, and they were still like, I guess he was some British guy and he used one of their like slangs for like being pro Brexit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, he literally used a term I had to look up, which meant like basically you support Brexit, and like it was all this shit. I was like, what are you you took that from a 2-minute segment of us saying we don't want to see goddamn lawn signs in Animal Crossing for political campaigns?
Like, you guys are, I've watched your guys' content for a while. You guys are clearly alt-right. I know it's been underlined for the longest time, but I can see the dog whistles, all right? You can't hide behind it, all right? I got you. Wink.
I mean, I record every InfoWars that comes on, so my back.
To be fair, they're all brilliant. Yeah.
And they're all entertaining.
Yeah.
I'm archiving all the Joe Rogan ones for posterity.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I feel like that game came at a really important time, too. It was like the beginning of this quarantine. It was an escape from this hell we live in, and the fact that we have to be reminded of this shitty fucking election at the end of this year, and it's come into Animal Crossing, that's crossing a boundary for me.
That makes sense. Animal Crossing is sacred grounds, and they broke the rules of the sacred grounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, any chance to get political.
There's
That's
no
all
escape.
I can say.
Just remember, there's no escape ever.
Yeah.
Aside from
And then
logging off,
whatever. I'm
Well
so
said.
depressed because there's so much like ground to cover with all of this shit, and so much things that like we talk about either on the show or like behind the scenes of the show, and so much shit that we try and take into context, because it's like we really do care about like how we're perceived and like the message that we put out and like a lot of the shit, and it's like sometimes it weighs heavily on you, and you're just like I struggled with that during a lot of like the rioting that happened like earlier in June and stuff like that, where it's like I want to talk about this, but from the point of view of a comedian, like, you know, what's the value in me making jokes about things, and like where do I fit into a lot of this shit? And then like, you know, it's hard, and it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, we do try and take it as seriously as possible, and we try and stay as informed, but also like we're not pundits. Like, you should expect more from those people than you do from us. Like, we can only do so much and say so much, but at the same time, I think that we do want to have some level of like positivity in the discourse to some extent, you know.
And speaking of, that is not a soundboard. That's just where Grant lives.
Yeah, that's how my fucking apartment sounds.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this right now, you're not getting pulled over by the police.
Yes.
Unless
Right,
you are,
yeah.
then sorry about that.
Obligatory disclaimer.
Nope.
As Grant was talking about drinking a bunch and then wanting to drive earlier.
Well, he never said that shit.
They got me.
Oh, they're fans. I didn't know.
Jokes on them. I don't own a car, so
But yet he knows how to park in Chicago better than I do.
that's true. I know how to do most things better than Zwick does,
Yeah.
except for audio editing.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
Yeah, that's literally like I heard their podcast. I was like, their podcast is great. Their audio sucks. I'm gonna ride their coattails and edit their podcast.
Yeah, I remember
He
that.
demanded to.
Yeah.
I did.
I
Yeah,
remember
because when did
that.
Zwick come on? Like episode 10 or something?
No,
Oh, that
It
no.
was later than
I was
that.
like,
I want to say like
later.
80 maybe.
Oh, really? That
the
late?
first one I
Yeah.
edited was officially edited was the one with the guy from Low Tax, and then
That was
then-
around
Oh.
80.
Was it around 80?
Yeah,
And then,
yeah,
like,
it
I
was.
didn't-
Low
and then I
Tax and
didn't-
then Garrett Hunter from Mega 64.
Yeah, and then they had Garrett Hunter, and I was like, please let me edit. I'm really a big fan of Meg 64. It would be an honor if I edited something with someone with Meg 64.
Right, yeah.
And then you were like, you want to stay on? I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Worked out for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Before you have Mega 64 and Justin Wang, for the love of God, let me make you sound good.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. A lot of advice for podcasters out there is like, for the love of God, like, get some better audio, because a lot of shows out there, just, they're funny, they're talented, but you know, I mean, we had to learn the hard way too. Just you gotta get your own Zwick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to be
We just learned
good
those-
enough to get a psychopath that really likes to edit. And and then like I'll come on and be like, you're going to let me edit and I'm not going to take no for an answer. And yeah, that's the end of that.
I don't quite remember it that way, but fair
I
enough.
held it. I was wearing a wife beater. I had a revolver in one hand and a whiskey bottle in the other. And I was like, you're going to let me edit your fucking podcast.
Like, you just wanted to record your piss so bad.
Yeah.
We had to slow burn it after 60 episodes.
Yeah, he's
It
like,
all
I'm just gonna
culminated
sneak
to
this
that,
in
yeah.
here, you know?
Yes. It was the long con.
All right, so moving on from that, gonna get a little happier right now. Guys, what have you been playing lately? I know we're all gamer Americans here.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I lately, in anticipation for Super Mario 3D All Stars, I was playing the original Super Mario All Stars and Super Mario
But you're
World.
just going to replay it once it comes out.
No, I played the Super Nintendo one.
I actually played that
Oh,
recently too. That's really good.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
mean to
I
interrupt
played-
you, but
That was like
I
the first
love-
game. Yeah, that was the first game I ever played. So it was cool to, like, I've been like going through Mario Brothers 1 through 3, then playing Mario World, and now like I'm playing basically through all the mainline Mario titles. And I've also been playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, the remake for PlayStation 4, which is, again, another great trip down nostalgia lane, except it looks better than you remember, or probably about how you remember, but then you go back to the old game and you're like, whoops, not quite.
Right.
So,
And like some of the tricks and stuff like that, like they included some of the newer shit that you could do in some of the quote unquote newer games that you couldn't do in like 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And it's a very cleaned up version, because we were playing it last weekend, and it's like once I had the controls in my hand and I was like pressing the buttons, I was like, I remember exactly what this feels like, you know,
Yes,
like it just
yes.
snapped immediately back.
See,
That
here's the
muscle
thing.
memory.
I had the opposite reaction because like I finally got Epic and downloaded the game, and I played the game, and I used to be fucking like amazing at that game, and then like I pick up that game and like my first playthrough, I can't even break 6 digits, and it's like fucking disgusting.
I don't
feel
believe
bad.
you.
I feel like Bam Margera learning how to skateboard again. I know how he feels now.
Bam Margera now trying to skateboard.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
that's
Fat,
a pretty
you look like
brutal
Phil.
comparison.
Yeah, because like, no, I used to be really good. Like I used to just like I'm not good at like anything, but like it's audio and like Tony Hawk series. Like I used to play Underground 1 all the time, and then 2 all the time, and then American Wasteland is when the game just started to going on a downturn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I started. Like,
That's where I started to
stopping.
drop off.
Yeah.
But like I remember going back and being awesome, and like for some reason I pick up this game. It's like I don't know, like I have to relearn, and it's a fucking big pain in the ass.
I feel like that's a trend I've noticed with games a lot is they'll like deter from like what people like, and then people are like, oh, these suck now. Then it's like, guys, we're back, and it's a classic return to form, and everybody's like, oh my god, I love these games. It's like they have to like a lot of these series have to like fuck up. And then it's like, you know, like
Yeah.
Final Fantasy is very similar. Just a lot of series where they're like,
Crash
all they have to do
Bandicoot.
is like what they were doing before, and people like eat it up.
Oh yeah. I mean, Resident Evil was a great example of that. That game series was doing amazing. It did a few nice things, and then it fucked up for a really long time.
Yeah.
Went back to like we're just horror again, but with better
Yeah.
graphics and this and that, and there you go. And
Are you
everyone
guys
loves
scared?
it again.
Are you guys scared about the Resident Evil 4 remake that's coming out? Because I
Forgot
am.
about that.
I'm worried about that.
I
'Cause
thought you were
think-
going to ask if you were scared by Resident Evil games. Like, oh, I can't play it. No, oh, it's scary, terrifying. Ah.
It's
Turn
too
it off.
spoopy. I can't handle it.
I mean, I thought I played the Resident Evil 2 remake, and I thought it was incredible. So if it's
Yeah.
gonna be like that for Resident Evil 4, I'm down.
But the thing is, I like the suitcase system. Like half the game is me organizing my suitcase,
you don't
and
think
I'm
they'll keep
I'm worried they're gonna take it out because Resident Evil 4 is the only one with the suitcase system. Everything else like fucked up that system, and it's upsetting.
And most people bitched about it too, so I think they're gonna take
Really?
it from Zwick. Yeah,
I love the suitcase system. I thought that was the best part of the game. Like I love that game, but
it was way better than the the switching back and forth shit that they had in 5, where like you had to
Yeah.
juggle between you and Shiva and stuff like that. I'll
it's
take the
definitely more
suitcase any day.
streamlined. I can see why people hated it more because like it's definitely more streamlined, and if you want a good horror game, streamlining isn't the best. You kind of want make the person suffer a bit, like make them like worry about other stuff so you can get them better with the scare. Like I get all of that, but it's just like it's not really a horror game. It's really more of an action game than it ever is
Yeah.
a horror game.
Yeah,
But
that's fair.
Yeah, and so like I know I'm probably like the most people like true Resident Evil fans like Resident Evil 2, right? Fake Resident Evil fans like me like Resident Evil 4 and have really only played Resident Evil 4. So
Yeah, Resident Evil 4 was a thing that made everyone know what it is. It was action oriented. It was like the Michael Bay film of Resident
Yeah.
Evil
Yeah.
games. And it was accessible to everyone. It's just, yeah, the original fans like me, like we grew up with the original Resident Evils. It was like, oh, it was all horror.
You know,
and then
I-
it switched.
I kind of feel like another comparison is like when James Cameron took over the Alien franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Like Alien
Yep.
1 was like a slow horror movie. Aliens by James Cameron was like, there's a whole bunch of aliens and it's action, shoot 'em up,
Yep.
you know? And it was like, this is also good, but it's different.
yeah,
And then who did 3? Wasn't it David Finch that did 3?
I think so. I never
And
saw
that took a
3.
really weird turn, whatever the hell they did. But yeah, no, that like, yeah, that kind of comparison where it's not saying Resident Evil 4, it's an amazing game, but it's
Yeah.
just different. That's the best way I can put it.
Yeah. Another game, because I've been gaming a lot during quarantine. I've been playing so many games. But another game that Grant turned me on to recently was an indie game called Bug Fables.
Never heard of this
that
one.
It's so the reason why it came to prominence, it got released a couple of years ago, but it came to prominence because they came out with the new Super Mario, the new Paper Mario game, and everyone was like, yeah, but this is gonna be dog shit. Like all the mechanics and like the battle system and stuff like that, like it's gonna be a bad game. And everyone's like, you know what's a great game is Bug Fables. They basically just like they took Paper Mario and Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door and they made the main characters bugs. and it's a lot of fun. It's very charming. It's very cute, and it's the same. It's like the same game. It's a lot. It's great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's a Paper Mario clone, basically. Yeah.
So they actually kept the RPG parts in there instead of like, oh, you can battle, but you're not going to level up.
Yeah.
But here's some coins.
Oh no,
what can I do with them?
Yeah,
Nothing.
It's
Yeah.
all RPG. Yeah.
Very true to form. True to form for the past couple, for the good Paper Mario games, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah.
I simp for Lady Bow.
Lady
Lady
Bo. Oh
Bo.
yeah, she was.
Lady Bow, sorry.
Yeah.
Dude, I loved her fucking bitch slap move. Or it was just
Yeah.
like you like, and it was just a row of bitch slaps.
Those
great.
two games are like some of my favorite fucking games. I don't know
Yeah.
what it is about them, but I fucking love those Paper Mario games.
They're
Those two.
awesome.
Yeah.
Now, what I have heard about the new Paper Mario game, it's the best Paper Mario game since the first two. But it's
I've heard
still
that
not
too, but-
great.
Yeah, people were like, it's not a bad game, but if you're looking for like a Paper Mario game, if you're looking for an RPG, this is not that. So it's like, well, those two things are what I wanted for my Paper Mario game, so I think I'm going to pass.
Right.
Yeah. What about you, Grant? What you been playing?
Along with the aforementioned bug fables, God, I feel like just a lot of, I feel like as of late, it's been just sort of like easier stuff because, I've started back up at work, and I'm not working very much, but between like work and keeping like an exercise fucking schedule and stuff like that, I come home and like I've just been popping in like Katamari has been my fucking stress reliever. Just fucking roll around a giant ball. It is very soothing to do. Every once in a while, that's just an easy fucking game to go back to.
So good.
Yeah. That I've been playing a little of Final Fantasy VII, not the remake, but like the actual one that was just released for Switch. I'm a normie Tendo, so I mostly things that come out for Switch or any other Nintendo system. The only other system I have is a fucking PlayStation 2. Everything else is fucking N64 and up.
Gotcha.
You need to get a Steam account soon, man.
I have a Steam account, but my computer can't run it because I have the worst computer known to fucking man.
I was gonna say that is a tall order.
Yeah.
I've had Steam games in the past. On when we do Twitch streams, I've been playing Celeste. That's been a lot of fun. Other shit, like, a lot of like SNES games and shit like that too. Just because those are on the Switch now, and I've just been, something I can not think too much about, and I don't have to like read dialogue, or I don't have to put too much effort in. Something that's just sort of like, after a hard week's worth of work where I'm working 10 hours a week, I can come home and I can relax with a nice game of Katamari.
There you go.
He earned his break.
Yeah.
What about you, Chambers?
Actually, what do you call it? It's funny you talked about Celeste because I just popped that into my Switch for the first time today and finally got around to playing
nice. What do you think so far?
it. So far, it's fucking great.
Oh, it's really good.
Yeah, like the control's spot on. Like, I'm a guy who does not care about story, like, at all in video games. But this one gives you, like, just enough to, like, you get invested in the characters. It's like, like, what's going on by the context of everything that's going on, but it also, like, doesn't, like, talk down to you. It's just a thing where it's like, oh, if you're a person who's ever lived, you're going to know what's going on in this right now.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I think that does, like,
self-reflection
give it the
journey.
edge. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think a story is, like, always necessary for a game, but it's like if you have a really tight platformer and then you add a story on top of that, it's like that's great. It's like an extra big bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like a Kojima thing where, like, it just adds, like, 4 hours of dialogue. It's like, okay, I can quickly scroll through, like, 2 minutes of dialogue, know what's going on, and then move on to the next level where I die 70 times. So,
Now, Jim, was this before or after that hentai game you got?
oh no, I still have that.
Whoa, what's this hentai game?
What's it called?
This might be the fourth podcast I've ever talked about. It's called Waifu Uncovered. It's a single screen shoot 'em up, and basically the goal of the game is as you kill enemies, they drop these ninja stars. You collect them, and it takes the clothes off the girls on screen.
You play as a young Elliot Rodger, and you go through the UC Berkeley campus with your game.
That's funny. I do have a Word document going. How did you know?
Nice.
But yeah, I was dabbling in that, and then I got my Mario 3D All-Stars today, so I was reliving some childhood with Mario 64 again.
Nice.
I'm kind of upset that it doesn't have it still has kind of the 64 graphics.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because the thing I liked about the original All-Stars thing was that it took the Nintendo graphics and upscaled them to Super Nintendo graphics.
I 100% agree.
Because I've been playing that because when I edit podcasts. Oh, go ahead.
Here's the thing about you fucking nerds and your complaining is that shut the fuck up is the only thing that I have to say. Just shut up and play your game. And shut up.
Fuck you sex having man.
do.
All right, we're talking about video games right now. All right, get that shit out of here.
No, I do.
The sex havers over here.
I mean, this is something. I mean, we've spent far too long debating in the Thought Cops Discord to the point that people have openly complained about it.
I won't read it. I will only play video games and I will enjoy video games, but I will not talk about them.
But
no
Grant,
offense to people
It's like
that
Fight
do.
Club to you.
like Zwick said, they remade the original NES games completely, new graphics, new music, everything.
Yeah,
for
but
the Super Nintendo.
They
and then,
did that for fucking Zelda with the 3DS
They
remakes,
did, yeah.
and they
It was
weren't
great.
as good. They weren't as good.
But they looked
The
incredible.
music wasn't as good. They didn't fucking look as good, and then they fucked up a lot of the mechanics. They need that blocky fucking polygon shit. They need the fighting polygon team back, and they need to stick with that because that worked for that system, and I want to relive that shit. And not just be like, oh, let's just fucking throw a coat of paint over it and call it a day. No.
But you could still go back and play those old ones. If it's All
I was
Stars, you
about to
gotta
say the
remake
same
it.
exact fucking thing.
Yeah, but you could say that about anything. You could say that about what you're talking about right now, and it doesn't make it any less true.
I know that they remade 64 for the DS. And I will say I did not prefer that art style, but I did.
Oh, okay. You didn't prefer the art
But
style.
however, if they remade Mario 64 in the Mario
exactly
Odyssey,
how you wanted it.
Exactly.
if they used the Mario Odyssey engine to remake Mario 64, which I don't think would have been very hard,
They
that
could have
would-
easily done that.
that would have been insane.
Someone on the
But you
internet
want that
made the first
feel.
level. No, shut the fuck up, Grant. Someone made the first
You want
fucking
that
level
you
in
shut the fuck
Unity,
up, Zwick.
and it looked fucking great.
Everybody's against you.
and
man.
it looked.
I don't care. I'm right.
Who needs politics when
Because
it's
they
needed about
fucking
video
they
games? am I
remade
right?
Majora's Mask in the same exact way that you're talking about, and they fucking ruined it.
They did,
Beautiful
and-
masterpiece, Majora's Mask. They fucking remade it exactly the way that you're describing, and they
No, that's
fucking
different.
ruined it.
That's
How
different.
dare you? It's not
That's-
different. It's the exact same.
no, because
you
that
fucking
they,
piece
okay, they
of
fucked
shit.
it up.
How
no, that's
dare
different.
you?
You're
How
all
dare
right, but
you
I'll
call
tell you
into
why it's
question
fucking different.
My
Gosh,
expertise as a gamer American.
Motherfucker, I'll kick your ass and suck your
Ow.
dick. You listen up now.
Oh my God.
The reason
I'll
they fucked it up is
Sick
because
your ass
they
and
made
fuck
it.
your mom, bitch.
You'd be lucky, man. She's the sweetest lady.
I'm so
No.
glad to be on the other side of this for once.
No. Okay, here's the thing. They made it worse because it was a very dark and dirty and dingy. And what they did was they made it brighter and more colorful in the freaking remake. But
No, that's
with the
not
Mario,
all that they did. That's not the
there's
only
other things,
thing
but that was
they
a
did
major
that was
fucking
bad.
thing for me, be right?
That was a major thing, but they fucked up the mechanics and they fucked up the whole feel of it.
They made the water
and you're
temple
talking
playable.
about the same thing where you just fucking what?
Didn't they make the
He's
water
right.
temple playable?
There
In
was no
Majora-
fucking water temple in Majora's Mask.
No, he's talking about the Ocarina remake.
I'm not talking
Oh,
about
I'm sorry, I
Ocarina,
was. Yeah,
motherfucker.
sorry,
You're not
I-
even
But no,
listening
they-
to what I say.
No, I fucked
they
it up.
did it-
No,
they did it in
that's a point for
correspondence.
Grant right
God
there.
damn
That's a point for Grant right there. No. But
the same company, like the same branch or whatever, remade both the N64 games
yeah.
for the 3DS.
Okay, but yeah, they made it to. But like it would probably do better with like a color pop, like with the Mario games.
Oh, a
yeah.
color pop.
Yeah.
Oh, a color pop. That's all.
Yeah.
In, if they pop
a
the
color
colors
pop
a
and a
little bit more,
graphics
you'd be
pop,
a little
right?
happier.
Have a little up. Yeah.
Oh,
I,
okay.
thought those
Okay.
I thought those two games looked incredible personally.
Right. I will say it looked
Ocarina
good,
of
but the
Time
problem
and
is it
Majora's
suffered.
Mask.
Majora's Mask
I
suffers
wanna
from
say,
looking
like,
better.
At least we have the option to go back and play the old ones. But if you're gonna give me a new one, you're gonna make me buy this
But
game
they-
again.
They
Do
don't
something.
produce the old ones again. It's not like they're fucking manufacturing more N64 games. For a lot of these children and stuff like that, it's just like, this is the only option you have. Take it. And it's
Well,
like,
Video
but
games
it
are not
sucks.
for kids. They're for 30-year-old man children like me. All right.
He's got a point.
But no, like I think the final thought I had on that was, like, at least just okay, give us the option to play the classic version. You know, it's like here's a classic version, here's the new version, or like they put the N64 games on the Nintendo Switch Online. You know, it's like they have the original Super Mario All Stars remake, and then they have the original NES version. So it's like kids who have a Switch now can play either one.
But they don't have that option with the 64 shit.
They should.
They used to and they should, but you know that Nintendo isn't going to do that.
It's called an
I don't think
emulator.
so.
Oh shoot! I love it.
called-
Sorry, I meant to say
They
emulator.
called our
my
bluff
bad.
years ago when they were like, let's just resell you old shit and see if you're going to pay this much money for it.
They've
and it
been
happened
trickling.
once, and they've been doing it again and again.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Next year they'll re-release it and they'll call it version 1.5, and that'll be everything you want, Kevin. And it'll be the updated graphics and everything, and it'll force you to buy it twice.
You're probably right.
And you'll,
do it with
you'll
64,
play
I'll
it,
do
and
it.
you'll be thoroughly disappointed with it, and you'll have an entire diatribe in the Thought Cops Discord about how bad it was.
I don't think so. I mean, I like the remakes of the Zelda games.
Actually, Zwick had a good point with the emulator, because one of our topics was going to be that we have a recurring bit on this show called Gamers Mad, where, you know, as you see on Twitter, gamers will freak out about the littlest of things. Of course. So this time their big freak out was the fact that the games in the Mario 3D collection are all emulated.
Well, most of the library on the Switch from Super Nintendo and regular Nintendo are emulated, right? Or am I just
Yeah.
crazy?
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure that's how I don't think they stuffed the whole N64 into a Switch card. That's all I'm just going to say on this
Yeah.
one.
You sure about that, Jim?
I mean, I could rip it open. I could find
Well,
out.
it's, the entire N64 is like 100 megabytes. It's not very much data. It's not like it's an impossible feat.
Yeah.
Right.
And I do think, you know, people are like, you know, to its credit, people are like, oh, it's just, they just ported the games over. When it's like, well, technically not. I mean, if you look at the comparison of like the original Mario 64 side by side with the one coming out for the Switch, they reused the original assets and stuff. Like everything is like less jaggy. So like his eyes, his hat, like everything is like the original thing that didn't get compressed on the 64. So it's like everything has those like round, shapely edges on everything, and it looks like how it's supposed to. So to say they did nothing to it is wrong. And I was going to say, I'm almost more excited to revisit the other two games, Mario Sunshine and Mario Galaxy. And even I'm really looking forward to playing Mario Galaxy with like a regular Pro controller. Like I think that Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 are like phenomenal games.
Right.
But revisiting them, and like Sunshine and Galaxy are like up-res, HD, widescreen, like they for sure look better. They're not remakes, but they are remasters for sure, and they look better. I mean, I wish that Sunshine could have got the Wind Waker treatment. That Wind Waker got remade on the Wii U, because that was an incredible game.
Yeah, that was basically like a ground-up one.
Yeah, and like they fixed some stuff like with the boat and everything, and I guess like Mario Sunshine's still like, hey, come find the blue coins wherever the hell they are. So
I kind of wonder why they didn't put Mario Galaxy 2 on the All-Star.
no one knows. I maybe a space issue, maybe a fucking greedy issue, but to your point of people saying they're emulated, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know the difference between what would the alternative be.
Right. Is it really, like, can you say that like you take that old game and put it on a new system? How is it not emulated in general, no matter if you build it from the ground up?
Do you remember what Nintendo did for the 25th anniversary of Mario?
Yeah, they just slapped the old All-Stars onto the Wii, and they did nothing to it.
Yeah. And, like, so this is the 35th, and then, like, on the 25th, they just re-released the Super NES All-Stars game on a disc that was, again, limited edition. You only had a few months to buy it.
Yep.
And I didn't buy it because I was like, they don't even have, like, Mario World on it. It's just, like, the first, like, the bare bones, like, full price Wii game. And, like, they just basically was, like, an emulator on a disc, you know?
Yeah.
And it seems like that's what a lot of people said back with, like, the 25th one. We're all like, well, you didn't do anything to it. Like, why would I buy this again? Whereas with this one, everyone's like, oh, holy shit, I have to get this. I mean, I know that's what I said.
I mean, at least for this one, it was, like, not something they released before. Like, for the other game,
True.
it was, like, literally the SNES. Like, the button prompts on the screen were just the SNES controller. Like, they didn't even bother changing it to the Wii stuff. So, I mean, I'm not saying that it's good, but, you know, as far as the technical aspect of it, I have seen a number of people, even in the Thought Cops Discord, talking about it, and that's even a point where I'm like, I don't know enough about tech stuff to really have a strong opinion on that, I guess.
Yeah, I thought one of their biggest things they were bitching about, and it's a weird argument because they're like, well, Nintendo always hates on people for trying to emulate and preserve gaming, but what gives them the right to do it? And it's like, but it's their property.
Right.
They do have the right, like
Yeah.
The
like that-
entire fucking problem, yeah.
I'm like, I mean, they can do whatever they want with it. You can't do what you want with their shit. I mean,
Yeah.
whether you agree with Nintendo or not, like that's just a weird argument to make. Like, why can they do it? Well, it's theirs. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Right.
What the fuck
Right.
else?
Yeah, that seems like a fairly easy concept to understand. However, I can understand why they are upset about it, because they're like, I mean, I would say back in the day, I didn't play too many emulators, but like when I was a kid, like as soon as I could, I was like, I downloaded like what was like Nesticle and those other like.
Yeah.
Was it literally a
Nestopia.
picture of testicles for the icon?
I don't think my parents would have allowed that.
It was a missed opportunity.
I was playing Jenny NES, but I heard Nesticle actually had a pair of testicles on there.
And then like later on, I remember I played the translated version of Mother 3. And my brother had a USB to GameCube adapter controller thing. So
I have one over here.
Oh yeah, it's so sick. It's like it's basically for those who don't know, it's a GameCube controller. You can just it's a regular GameCube, but the adapter means you can plug it into your USB. So I got to play Mother 3, which is the sequel to Earthbound, a game that will probably never come to America, and it's one of my all-time favorite Nintendo created games just from playing it that way, and that was done because of emulation. And if they are like, that's where the frustration comes in, where if they are getting mad about not being able to emulate stuff, and it's like, yeah, Mother 3 belongs to Nintendo, but they're not giving anyone outside of Japan a way to play it. So what are we supposed
Unless
to
you pay for a $60 like fan-made like translated cart and shit like that.
I mean,
I have no issues with fucking like piracy in those scenarios. Like whatever. If you're not gonna supply it, like I don't care if people steal it. I really don't. I don't know.
I feel like the cynical part of me does think that they know better, because when the Wii U was failing, they were like, "Oh, we'll put Earthbound on the Virtual Console because we refused to put it on the Wii." And then eventually, when they needed to sell more, they even because Earthbound is Mother 2. Mother 1 was never released in America either. However, it was fully translated and just got canceled at the last minute for an American release. And after fucking 25, 30 years, Nintendo put out Earthbound Beginnings on the Wii U, which was like the original Famicom NES version of Mother 1. And it was like, oh, so you did have it, but you were holding out until you were having a failure of a console. So
Well,
people
the funny
be like,
story
oh, well,
with-
I really wanted.
Yeah,
Go
sorry.
ahead,
The
Zwick.
funny story with Earthbound, the first Mother 1, was that they actually did have a translated version for the NES.
Yeah.
But right when it was about to ship, like the SNES just came out, so they just didn't bother making the copies. So like it was already translated and ready to go, but like the SNES was already out, so that's why it never came out to America.
And that's kind of standard for Nintendo. We know they have shit like when they release a Super NES Classic, and they're like Star Fox 2, the never released sequel.
Yep.
It's like, why didn't you release it? Why are you just trying to package it with an excuse? You know, I'm sure they have a whole backlog of who knows what kind of games or games they could have easily released.
God. I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, just like you said, Grant. I feel when especially if a developer is not losing money on a game actively being out, if it's no longer in circulation, like, emulate the shit out of it. I have issues when people pirate it and then try to sell consoles with the ROMs and the hacks and then I'm like, okay, don't try to make money. If you just want to enjoy it yourself, preserve it, whatever, cool. But if you start trying to make a profit, then I feel no pity for you if you get caught.
Right.
True.
But yeah, at the end of the day, Nintendo, they make suckers of us all. They sell us gimmicks,
sure
and
do.
we keep buying it.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, you'd be hard pressed to find a bigger fan of Nintendo than me. Like, I was just watching some video about the e-reader for the Game Boy Advance. If you guys remember that,
Yeah.
I remember having that and like buying the Animal Crossing cards and like that was when I think that around that time was when Nintendo was like, oh, we could re-release older games and people will buy them because they were releasing all the NES games on the Game Boy Advance and even the Game Boy Color a little bit, but they had those like e-reader cards you like slide through that little peripheral for the Game Boy Advance, and it was like you buy a pack of cards and it was like, oh, just slide these 10 cards in and you can play Ice Climber, and it was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And I even I went to Japan about a year and a half ago, and when I was in Kyoto, I took a little pilgrimage myself over to Nintendo HQ, and I got to stand in front of the building. I took a picture in front of the sign, and I even did I had my Switch in my backpack, and I pulled my Switch out, and I was like, there was this guy walking by, and I was like, excuse me, can you take my picture? And I did I held the Switch up, I did the soy face, like, holding it, and then as soon as I did, like 20 guys in suits walked out of the building and just stopped and stared at me, and then they just started laughing, and then all walked away. It was like
it's like Americans.
It was just like I don't know if they knew what the meme was or whatever the case, but the fact that it was just like, I'm like, yeah, I flew across the planet and I'm here by myself, and I just got laughed at by Nintendo.
That would have been funny if you chased after him. They're like, no, I was being ironic. Come back. And they don't understand what you're saying.
Who's coming to Smash? Tell me.
Miyamoto just spits on him.
Why is that not your profile picture for everything?
It was my profile picture on Facebook for a while.
That's no, I like that story though. I mean, Nintendo. I mean, it's funny. Everyone can bitch so much. We talked about that earlier. People can bring politics, their opinions. It doesn't matter what your thing is that you're into. People, the two groups we found worse than anything tied political are gamers and beer snobs. The people we've run into with that shit. Right, yeah. Oh
we picked a great niche.
I was gonna say you guys found a great combination of awful things.
Oh, Jesus Christ. If you misspeak on any topic with either group, whew, you're fucked.
Beer snobs and like pizza snobs, for whatever reason, I don't know why, but it's just like, man, I would drink the shittiest beer and eat the shittiest pizza and be perfectly content. And everyone's like, it has to be this. You have to drink the IPA. And it's just like, shut the fuck up.
Because like none of them ever started like drinking, like especially us when we first started the page. Like we were drinking Lion's Head and Bud and Coors Light with every video we did, shit like that.
Right.
And like when we were getting into the more craft stuff, it's like we had to get used to it. It isn't a thing where you drink it and it's like, oh, this tastes like a tree's asshole. This is delectable. I love this. I can't wait to do this all the time.
Well, and it's also like an interesting like conversation topics for. An interesting conversation topic for people that maybe aren't into it to be like, well, you like this, maybe try this, or you like this, try this. It's like these are all things that this is like basic human communication is just like, you're at this level, here's what I know. Here's how to bring you to this level, and it's just like, no, let me just let me tell you how much better I am than you are at everything.
That's the point of liking stuff, right?
Yeah.
You have to tell them all they're wrong for enjoying it.
Right.
It's like that famous meme, like, shh, let people enjoy things.
Yeah, but people don't want to do that. Jim, I did want to bring in one topic, and I don't know if these guys saw it from our buddies at Console Wars, the shit that happened.
Oh, yeah.
I got it pulled up here.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, our buddy Dan, he's been on our podcast a few times, a really good friend of ours, and he had posted on his Twitter. He created his Console Wars logo to basically look like the console, looks like the Super Nintendo, Wars looks like Sega. And it's like, it looks really well done.
It's the gimmick of their page.
Yeah, it's like what they're known for. And then he saw a notification that CBS is airing a documentary called Console Wars. Now, right away, the term Console Wars is, they didn't invent the term Console Wars, so I'm not trying to say that. Yeah. But if you look at the logo they used, all they did was take his logo, make the C a capital C, and change the coloring in the background like slightly, but it's almost goddamn identical. Like, and it's such a clear, blatant ripoff, because if you type in Google Console Wars, they're like one of the first things that come up. Right. So it's like, what the shit is it? Like, seriously, guys, like, somebody at CBS like couldn't do a little bit more digging or come up, like, commission somebody to make a goddamn logo for them. They had to just rip it off.
I bet that those companies do that on purpose because they know that they can get away with it. And even if they get sued or anything like that, it's like, what's a couple $1 million off like a multi-billion-dollar budget? Like, who the fuck cares,
Yeah, and it's not like these guys are loaded like that where they can litigate to fight it too much. So it's like, that's just one of those really shitty. So like from a personal note, we were like, that's really fucked up. So we shared it across, but like this is one of those things that's just major violation. And we know shitty things like that happen. But dear God, man.
Yeah, I'm looking at both of them here, and I'm like, okay, like that. I mean, it's possible. I would say very unlikely that they both just kind of came to the same like conclusion for an image, but I think this is a little bit too coincidental. Just the fact that, I mean, they just pixelated it basically.
Yeah, like
they took out the background and pixelated it.
Yeah,
like, oh,
all they should have done is just made console Sega style, Wars Super Nintendo style, and that at least would have been a little bit of a shift,
right?
Something. But no, this is the ultimate lazy like. Oh, why make a label from scratch when we could just rip it off somebody else?
I'm sure they consulted their legal department, and the legal department was just like, "Fuck it, yeah, just go ahead. It doesn't fucking matter."
I will say,
like, what do they got? 50K subs? Oh yeah, this is fine.
Yeah.
Thankfully, pretty much every single response to the tweet where they announced it here is people saying like, "Yeah, this is stolen. This is stolen." So. I mean, it's pretty public knowledge at this point. Like, if people are like, yeah.
Yeah, and for our sake, like I said, I definitely wanted to mention it because this is the first podcast since that happened, and it's something we want to follow, like you said, because we know Dan, he's a great guy. Mm-hmm. They've been busting their ass on that channel. It's like, dude, like, hopefully that gets reversed, or at least gives them credit. Like, just do something.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a silver lining where, like, he actually does take him to court, and he actually wins some actual good money out of it.
Or
what if it turns the other way, where it's the best thing that ever happened?
Like, I think that's what. Isn't that what happened with the Sonic Mania guys? Didn't they create like a Sonic ripoff game?
Yeah,
and Sega was like, "Oh, we'll just hire you guys just to make a game," and then it's like, "Oh, this is the best Sonic game that's like fucking come out in 20 years."
20 years,
like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would be cool if they're going to do a documentary, call it Console Wars, steal your logo. Maybe at least bring them on, like,
right.
Or do something, like just some kind of acknowledgement. That would be cool, but I don't know, man.
I mean, that's one way to get ahead.
Yeah.
It's probably just some, like, dick shit intern who's just like, oh, here it is. Here's the logo you guys wanted.
Yeah.
Well, I think it would I think they won't, because I think they'd be worried that like it would give them a solid case if they brought them on, because that would give them the fact that they knew that they existed. So they probably will not acknowledge that they exist, or else it'll fuck them over in court. As an armchair lawyer.
I mean, once again, though, even if they fuck them over in court, it's just like that's like a couple $1 million worth of a settlement for a company that's worth billions of dollars. Like it's fucking pocket change to them. It doesn't matter.
Well, just because it's pocket change doesn't mean they're not gonna like try to help themselves, keep themselves in the legal right no matter what.
Oh yeah, I mean,
like
that's
just
the nature
like
of these things.
corporations make millions of dollars because they're greedy fucking assholes that will screw over anybody in their path.
To quote Mitt Romney, sir, corporations are people, my friend. So, point counterpoint.
Grant had his pleated jeans as he said that too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But yeah,
so we
no,
just wanted to bring
I-
up and say fuck CBS.
Yeah, fuck
Yeah.
CBS.
Yeah.
Fuck
Although I do like
Viacom,
Giant
the
Bomb.
parent company of CBS.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I do like Giant Bomb, and I think they're a part of CBS.
Fuck Giant Bomb. Just kidding.
Shut up, Zwick.
All right, Jim. So what do we have from Patreon?
All right. Patreon.com/DrinkABeerandPlayAGame, where for as little as $2 a month, you can ask a question that we will answer on each and every single Power Hour podcast. So, first up comes to us from Gamer Astral. Every year around Halloween, I try to replay the original Luigi's Mansion and the Resident Evil GameCube remake. Do you have a game that you replay every year around the same time? Could be time of season or anything like that.
That's a good question. I Luigi's Mansion is a great one. Luigi's Mansion 3 came out around Halloween last year, so I played that. That was appropriate. I feel like there has been games. I don't know what it is, but in general, fall, I really hit like video game mode. Something about the weather getting a little bit cooler, and I'm like, yeah, I want to sit inside, play some games. And I think it's because a lot of games are released around like October, September, November. Yeah, you know what? One that comes to mind for me actually, Batman Arkham City.
Oh, all right.
Great game.
I don't know what those games like. Just for some reason, like those games just remind me of Halloween, especially that one. I remember playing that also like around Halloween when it came out, and something about like the ambiance of it. I feel like it's a great game to play for that time of year.
Nice. How about you, Grant?
God, game-wise, nothing really comes to mind because when it comes to video games, it's like either I'm not playing them or I'm obsessed with them,
Like
and there's
Cookie
no
Clicker.
in between. Like Cookie Clicker. Cookie Clicker's been a big fucking one, especially during quarantine. I had Cookie Clicker going non-fucking stop, man.
What's your clicks per
But,
minute up to? Your CPM?
I have no idea. Fuck, I could check it right now actually, because I think that like the cookies, no pun intended. Well, pun kind of intended. I'm too drunk to know whether or not I'm intending my pun. Cookie. Let's see where I'm at. Hold on 1 second here. It's pulling it up. I got a pretty slow computer, but it's doing its magic. I have in my bank 219 tradecillion. I don't even know what number that is. Per second, it's about.
I must say, it throws me off seeing
425
your.
undecillion.
It throws me off to see your real eyes after seeing you with like aviators on for the past hour.
Right.
It's like, oh shit, he has real eyes.
So that's my answer for that. Is that I don't know video game wise, but for some reason, ever since I saw the TV series Over the Garden Wall, that's like the perfect like transition into fall cartoon / TV series. Every time around this year, I sort of get in the mood to watch it, and I'm probably going to rewatch it again sometime in October. If you haven't seen Over the Garden Wall, you need to see it.
It's great.
It's fantastic.
No, I
Miniseries.
think I'll definitely check that out because I'm all about anything that's a good transition of fall. this going into winter is definitely. I'm not a summer guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, since I'm a huge horror fan, one of the Castlevanias, but it's usually going to be Super Castlevania 4 for me. Every year I at least play it, and it's usually around this time.
I
would say Resident Evil, but Jim and I, like, we've went through every single Resident Evil game, and I'd say 90% of the games full playthroughs last year. So I'm definitely not touching them this year. Like, I got Resident Evil 3 Remake, but until a new game comes out, I'm not touching those for at least another year. So I think this year my reoccurring will definitely be a Castlevania game.
Yeah, those games they have such a great ambiance to them.
And the soundtracks, especially.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, they're still some of my favorites from the NES and Super NES.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lately for me, like every Halloween the past few years, I try to play through the original Splatterhouse on my TurboGrafx at least once. So, like, I have it on, like, you
Just
can
trying
unlock.
to get use out of it.
I get plenty of use out of my TurboGrafx, you piece of shit. But nah, what do you call it? I have the remake where you can unlock it with the arcade version, but I think the Turbo controller works better for it. So
It doesn't, but good.
But no, that's the one I go back to a lot lately.
Okay, nice. What about you, Zwick? Do you got anything?
Like, I kind of have like a weird rotation. Like, it used to be like Hotline Miami, and then Dark Souls, and then Fury, which I think does not get talked about enough. I love that game, Fury. But, like, I don't know, my reaction time fucking sucks now, so it's kind of just switched to just Fury and Dark Souls now. But, like, those would be, like, instead of, like, an actual, like, year thing, I'd be like, I'm in the mood for this, and I'm in the mood for that. Like, it, like, naturally just happened. If that makes sense.
No.
Like,
I mean, yeah, Hotline Miami. That's a great game. And I don't know, Jim and I actually just happened to be talking about that last podcast. But if you ever hear the game Party Hard, that's like a Hotline Miami take on basically your serial killer in that same stuff. Yeah, great game. So
it's great. I don't know. I feel like Hotline Miami has ruined other video games because Hotline Miami has done the same thing that Dark Souls has, where like people will compare it, be like, oh, this is the Dark Souls of X, this is the Dark Souls of Y. I think Hotline Miami has done that, and it kind of just like, I hate and you're like it's got the aesthetic, but the gameplay like when you hear Hotline Miami, it gives you an expectation of the gameplay.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I know what you're talking about. You mean the aesthetic, right? Like the 80s, the cool
exactly.
shit, right?
Yeah.
And it's just it's a good game, but like when you go in like, because like there's other games where it's like if they have that cool 80s neon aesthetic, it automatically goes to Hotline Miami. And I really just feel bad for other games that they have to be compared to Hotline Miami, because like that's a gameplay, like, I don't know, it's a very, I don't want to say original, because like it's definitely inspired by Smash TV, but it was definitely it was a good combination of gameplay, music, visuals, a trippy story, and like it's hard, and like
strategy too.
Yeah, strategy. Well, that's the thing. It's not. It's really instinct. It's the very opposite of Dark Souls, where Dark Souls you have to think and like really think about every swing you do. Where with Hotline Miami, it rewards you for just going off of instinct, and when you die, you just reset. Because when you start planning shit out is when you get more frustrated with it. Like, if you have like a little set plan of a path you want to go and not think and just go, that's how to play Hotline Miami, personally, for me.
All right, I gotta try that because I just keep fucking dying left and right.
Well,
so
yeah,
I try to
like
plan it out and then I get my ass kicked.
Well, like how I did was like how I ended up liking the game was like I looked up speed runs and then I just saw the general path they would go, and then like I would just go there, and that's how I did that.
Oh, okay.
That's how I learned to enjoy the game on that. Because like when I first played it, I hated it because I was trying to be more careful. Once you learn to not be careful and embrace that you're gonna die a million times, it's a fun ass game.
Yeah, Jim, and the other thing is you just got to be good at games. So
yeah, that would probably help.
I almost spit my Bloody Mary all over my keyboard.
I'm blaming the Joy-Cons. The Joy-Cons aren't a good enough controller for it, so that's the problem.
Yeah, that's it. Nice. But thank you. Was that Astral?
That was Astral.
Thanks, bud.
Yep. Next up, from Game Whisperer Dean. What game have you bought in a Steam sale but haven't gotten around to yet?
Ooh. Let me look right now.
Wait, maybe we should say it to how many.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't have I'm not a big PC gamer. Consoles pretty much only, but I mean currently I would say on the Switch eShop, I have the Phoenix Wright trilogy, which I've never played before.
Ooh.
And that was like one of from like the DS, and that was a series of games I always meant to play and always wanted to get into. And they were on sale. The whole like pack of them was on sale like in HD, and that's been sitting on my menu for a while. So I do want to get to that, but I
will say, as someone who hates visual novel games, I love that fucking game. I love those series of games a lot. So if that like helps you push you in that direction.
Yeah, no, I mean I'm in. I mean, like I feel like the DS had so many charming games like that, and a lot of them like I may not have even been able to get to. So,
like I played all of them up to the newest 3D one, but like except for the one that wasn't released that was only released in Japan, obviously. But like I played the trilogy, the one, the Apollo Justice. And then there was one with Miles Edgeworth where it was like you like roam around and did the investigations, and like I had a fun time with all of them.
Yeah, I'm looking at my Steam right now, and I've played every single one of them except for Fallout Tactics, which I've never played at all. I just was on sale, and I love the Fallout series, so that's the only one I haven't touched. Everything else, though, of my 30-some games, it looks like, I've played, so yeah.
You've mostly, like, dabbled and stuff in most of those?
Every other game on there, I'm one of those people, Jim and I have talked about many times. I get a game, I'm gonna play it. Like, I'm not just a collector. Like,
yeah.
It's to me, what's the point of collecting if you're not actually going to play it? Like Jim's shelf behind him, he's only played 2 games, and it's one of those. It's one of those things where, so on Steam, and I'm like Grant, my computer is not great by any stretch of the imagination, so I need to play games that I can actually run, and so when I am able to play a game, I'll play the shit out of it. I don't always beat them all, but I'll at least put some serious hours into it.
Yeah, I almost never touch my Steam account. I maybe have like 3 games on in general, but I did I think it was like October of last year. They were like clearing out their inventory of Steam controllers, and they were selling them for $5 a piece. So I bought a Steam controller for like a future hardware review, and I'm yet to even touch it. So
as I said, he's a collector. He doesn't actually use the stuff he gets.
Sir, please, I have
a plan. He just has to get it.
I have a plan. Yeah, for like the most part, like I have my backlog's ridiculous, but I'll at least put a couple hours in every game I have. But I almost never beat anything anymore because of like straight gaming ADD and just way too much shit. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but besides that, I mean, luckily Steam is if I was a PC gamer, it would be even worse because you can get games for pennies, and I would just never touch any of them really.
For the games that have 0 hours, I have the South Park Fractured Butthole, Transistor. These are only the good ones I'm mentioning. Yakuza 0, which I still have to touch.
Really?
And, XCOM 2. Yeah.
Nice. Well, at least they're good games.
Yeah, they are good. No, I have shitty games on here too. Don't get me wrong. But I'm mentioning the ones that I should be ashamed that I haven't touched yet, because I'm a huge fan of the Yakuza series. But except for Yakuza 3, I felt like that was a dipping point where it was just too much about orphans. But besides that, yeah, I need to get back on the Yakuza train.
Gotcha. And Grant, we know your computer's like mine, but do you have anything on Steam that you haven't played?
I haven't touched my Steam account since probably 2011 or 2012 tops. So it's fucking a barren wasteland. The only thing I can really think of that, like I mentioned before, it's all Nintendo shit, and then I have a PS2. I haven't fucking touched Shadow of the Colossus yet.
That's a great game.
It's one of those games. I have Ico, which is the prequel to it, and I've played Ico. or not the prequel, but the first in the series or whatever. I've played Ico, and I haven't played fucking Shadow of the Colossus, and I've had it for like 8 years, and I haven't fucking played it yet. That's probably the only thing that's sitting on the shelf that I haven't like even popped into the fucking disc player yet. I think.
This is gonna sound like a weird.
That's the only thing that's like sticking out in my head.
I think if you like Katamari Damacy, I think you would like Shadow of the Colossus, which sounds weird, but I feel like the gameplay.
I absolutely think that I would like it, but
yeah.
I think I'm so much of a perfectionist that I was like, okay, I'll do Ico first. I'll beat Ico.
Yeah.
I tried
never beat
Ico. I don't like Ico. Like I tried it. I couldn't get through it.
I never beat it, and it was just like, oh well, I'll get to this one eventually, and then 8 years goes by, and I never fucking beat it. So maybe that'll be one that I like pop into the fucking disc player.
I mean, they're very different games too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's I think the only one that I have that I haven't like at least popped in once.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Shadow of the Colossus is one I need to like. I need to get a PS5 and get like the PS4 remaster because I tried.
Yeah, that looks cool.
I tried playing it on PS2 and like I'm like once I hit 30, like all of a sudden my body's like, oh, certain games will get you motion sick now. I'm like, oh, good. So I played through like the first like Colossus and I was puking afterwards because it runs at like 13 frames per second. So I think I need the more streamlined version of it, and I'll go back to it.
Bitch.
Yeah, you're right.
But thank you. That was
Dean.
Dean, thanks, bud.
All right, next up, from G to the next level. Aside from Resident Evil 2, what N64 games do you think really pushed the system to its limits?
Oof. I don't think I got an answer for that one.
I mean, I would say both Zelda games for sure.
They cheated and used that expander chip or whatever.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
like
that's pushing it to its limits.
Yeah, I was gonna say Majora's Mask used that. Donkey Kong 64 was pretty big.
I was gonna say Donkey Kong 64 because that is the most ridiculous collection game.
I'm playing through that right now.
You have to collect every single fucking thing. That game, it took me like 10 years to fucking beat it. Because I'm pretty sure that was the first game. I got like the green N64 console that came with Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah, that was cool.
And I got that like 1999, and I beat it in like 2014 or something.
That sounds about right.
It took forever because it's fucking collecting. Collect every single banana, every single coin, every single golden banana. It took fucking forever to beat, man.
Why did you 100% it?
Because like I had it for so long, and like that was the
mocking
game that
you
came with the system, and it was mocking me. And it's one of those things where it's just like I'm that level of perfectionist. Maybe this is why I had like an issue with like doing music and shit like that, like coming out with shit, doing creative stuff in general, is when you have that like perfectionist mindset and you end up doing like nothing with it, sort of thing, like because you have to complete everything, you have to do everything to the fullest extent that you can do, but like, you know, your focus isn't always there. And like sometime around 2012, 2013, 2014, I was just like, I've got to beat this game. It's got to get off my fucking back, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Dude,
Yeah.
that like our $5 Patreon tier, we let people pick a game for us to review. And that's fucking one of them right now. And I have it, and that's the one like I'll go back to like once or twice a week, and I'm just like, this is gonna take me a year at least to beat the story up.
It's a huge fucking game, man. It's so fucking big.
It's like Breath of the Wild for Donkey Kong.
It is, yeah.
What was even the question?
Yeah,
the
I
answer
was
for
gonna
me.
say that. Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say that or a really random one. And this is from the little bit I played as a kid because my cousin had it. I remember being really impressed graphically by Force Gemini.
Yeah.
But like, I don't. Thinking back, like I don't know if I just overhyped it in my head at the time. But I remember thinking like, oh, this is like seems really impressive. Like this is one of the better looking games for the system. So, yeah, I just threw that out there as one of the ones maybe it pushed N64 to its limits.
And I was going to add, too, like in the same vein, speaking of Rareware games, Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
Like the voice acting, the story, the graphics. I mean, like I know it was like very late in the system's lifetime, but like that was extremely impressive.
It was like right between. It was right at the end of the N64 and right at the beginning of the GameCube that came out. Like it was one of the last games that came out, and like when we first started fucking around with the Twitch channel, I was doing a Conker's replay, and like the game itself, like the platforming elements, was one of those things where it was like. You have like you have two buttons, you know, and it's a very simple game, and it's a little clunkier than I think people remember it as being,
especially
but,
for a Rare game, which is weird.
Right? It wasn't as smooth as like Banjo or Donkey Kong 64. Like it didn't have the same feel, but like the fucking comedic elements to that, and like the story and all the references, like. Have not been matched since that came out, you know.
I feel like that's the only game people are like, well, the N64 was a very kid console, and they're like, but it had Conkers, and everyone just points to that.
GoldenEye, Perfect Dark.
One. Yeah.
Perfect Dark actually could be a good example. Like I feel like it was a much more streamlined, even better performing game than GoldenEye, and with some of those weapons, like I always forget the fucking name. The sniper rifle that could see through all the walls. Yeah, Like I remember being like, "Holy shit! How is this running this?" Like that blew my mind as a kid.
Fucking Rareware, man, they were like destroying during that time.
They're amazing. The Rare replay.
Then they got bought by fucking Microsoft, and it was just all downhill. How fucking depressing! Like one of my favorite fucking companies.
But that Rare Replay 30, that's one of my favorite collection games I've gotten in a long time.
What's on? Well, I guess you said 30 games.
Yeah, it's 30. I mean, they go all the way back to the.
It's from the Spectrum all the way up until like the early Xbox or even the 360. I think isn't like nuts and bolts on there.
Yep. Yeah.
That's got to be emulated, right?
I have to imagine. Maybe. I mean,
no, they put a full specky on there.
Didn't Rare leave that company and like go to some like Retro Rare or something? Whatever made the new Donkey Kong games?
No. Retro made Metroid Prime, and they make the new Donkey Kong games.
Yeah, all the Rare people went to the
Playtonic.
Playtonic, that's it. Yeah, who make
Playtonic.
Ukulele.
Thank you.
Yep.
And Ukulele, that game was a fucking stinker.
I hear the second one's good. I haven't played it yet though.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a second one.
Yeah, it's more like Donkey Kong Country instead of like a 3D game. It's like a 2.5D.
Nice.
I fucking miss that era of like 3D platforming though. That was like a highlight of like being a fucking 90s kid.
Oh yeah.
It was like Banjo Kazooie, Donkey Kong 64, Conker, like all those fucking
Bandicoot.
games is just like.
Dude, I have a Hat in Time. You should borrow it. I have a physical copy, and
That
it
is a good
ukulele game.
It's a 3D platformer. Like it's very much inspired by like Mario Sunshine, Banjo Kazooie, stuff like that. Highly recommend.
Yeah, I'll borrow it. What system is it for?
Switch.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You can also get it on Steam. This is why I've touched it, and I will say like that is a very
all right. Well,
game.
useless for me, but thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, maybe the audience at home would like to know what other consoles it's on.
Zwick, you have to consider the thoughts and needs of the people in the room with you. And then, the audience is the
And then project out from there.
If there's one thing that I've learned from listening to the Mars Volta for the past 20 years, it's that the audience's needs come second to that of the artist.
People seem to like at the drive-in, but let's just get rid of that and let's go with all this
You
experimental
don't need it.
No.
Omar Rodriguez Lopez is the quintessential musical genius of the early 2000s and late 2010s, and you just need to delve into his 500,000 albums that he's released.
You know what?
In order to fully appreciate it.
You know what? I haven't heard a single Mars Volta album, but I fucking hate the Mars Volta because every time someone talks
Okay.
about it, I want to kick them in the nuts.
That's a very Zwick response. To basically I haven't listened to anything, and yet here's my very strong opinion on it.
So Zwick went to
Never
college in
listened to a single
2006. Everyone
song.
talked about Mars Volta.
No, that was like I had military buddies in 2000. No, not 2000.
They were all talking about it in high school, and my mom wouldn't buy me the album, and so I hate them for that reason.
We call her
You
back
know
in the
what?
room and maybe she'll get it for you.
The most embarrassing thing I ever got grounded for was a Kid Rock album that she found in my room, which is funny
That is
because
embarrassing.
That sounds very Iowa.
Yeah, which is funny because she also bought me Grand Theft Auto Vice City, which and San Andreas, which has all of like terrible songs lyrics with the violence.
Wait,
Oh,
so
yeah.
Zwick,
Bring
you
her
telling
in
me
here. Let her answer for it.
I think you're lying, Zwick. I think it was Insane Clown Posse.
No,
Oh, that was okay.
I hid that well. It was.
He's a juggalo for life.
He was the first superhuman.
All right, G, thank you for that question.
Actually, before we go, I have to be that guy.
Oh,
So,
fuck, Jim. What stupid game that was a Japanese import are you going to mention?
Bangai-O. Because anytime I play that, like when I go to take the cartridge out of the system, like the expansion cartridge slot feels like it's on fire. So
are
it's
you saying
overclocking
you're
the shit out of
using
that
it
system.
on the wrong type of system?
No, they're both
Since
NTSC.
it's an
Brian. They're
import,
both
and
NTSC.
that's why it's... So you're saying is use the wrong system. Okay,
No,
got it.
Use the right one. Perfectly fine. But no, great question. Next up. Oh, crap. Oh, fuck.
What'd you mess up?
Now I'm falling apart at the seams over here. Next up, from our newest patron, No Good Goody. With the news of Scott Pilgrim re-release, what's a newer licensed IP that you would like to adapt well as a retro game or a retro style game? For example, John Wick or in the style of a Sega Saturn light gun game, or Logan from 2017 as a gruesome, bloody 16-bit brawler.
Actually, I have a response to that. So, you know how they announced that Harry Potter game? They, like,
Yep.
whatever. It's like some sort of like open world Harry
Speaking
Potter
of
game.
politics,
Yeah, right. So like somebody put on Twitter that they should give that IP to Arc Systems. It's like they did Guilty Gear, Dragon Ball Fighters.
oh yeah.
Like that super like highly animated style. So like when I was in Japan, I met this like I was just I went by myself and I just talked to people, you know, at bars and stuff who like spoke English. And this one guy I met was a director at ArcSys. He worked on directed some of the Guilty Gear games. And I added him on the tweet. I'm like, "What do you think? You think that Arc Systems could handle Harry Potter?" And he said maybe I don't understand the flow of this chatting. He said, but I guess you expect Harry Potter's characters hitting each other and sinking in a blood ocean. I like to think I like to think it'd be like rival schools united by fate. Oh. So I want to go with what he said. I want to see a Harry Potter fighting game where they knock each other into a sinking in an ocean of blood.
Nice.
You know, get rid of this open world, this open world bullshit. You know, let's
Something different for once.
Oh, I'm trying to think. So a new... I mean, this isn't a new IP. This is something I still just want. Number one, I just want a goddamn Big Trouble in Little China game, period. And I'll take a Streets of Rage 4 style game within the world of Big Trouble in Little China.
I
Just
could
give
totally
me,
see that.
Yeah,
Sounds
just
about
give
right.
me the goddamn game. That's all I want.
A John Carpenter like 16-bit soundtrack, that'd be sick.
Yeah, that's all. That's very simple. That's what I want.
I think, what do you call it? The wife and I have recently been watching the Hannibal series. It's on Netflix now, but it used to be on NBC. And like the whole thing is like, you know, Hannibal Lecter is like pulling the wool over everyone's eyes while they're trying to solve all these different mysteries and murders. So I think like almost going back to like what Zwick was saying earlier, like a Phoenix Wright game, but based around like the Silence of the Lambs universe. I think that would be kind of cool.
I could see that.
Not as good as ours, but yeah, it's not bad.
I'm just gonna drink.
How about you,
Well,
Grant?
better-
What you got?
That deafening silence showed that there was so much approval.
Dude, it's better answered than me because I cannot think of a thing on this one. This one's got
You
me.
got about a minute left, Zwick.
I was gonna say maybe it's because I'm too far gone with the drinking portion of the show, but I think you have to repeat the question for me because I don't remember it.
So what IP from like TV or movies would you like to see made as a video game, but like a retro style or something like that?
Huh. Okay.
I feel like I know what you're gonna say.
I don't. Can you tell me what you think that I'm going to say because I would like to hear it.
I thought you were gonna say Daredevil.
That popped into my mind. That is a
Yeah.
good show. God, there is a lot of TV shows where I feel like they would be good as video games and like they just sort of never happened, or they were like disappointing iterations of those things. You know what I'd like to see, and I don't know if this is along the lines of the question or not, but are you all familiar with like the tragedy that was the first Lego Island game?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it a tragedy.
It was a tragedy because the company that, what's it called, like Mindscape or something like that, folded immediately after the game was released. The guy who created the game had he had cancer, and because he was out of a job, he could no longer pay for his chemotherapy
What
or
the
anything like that.
Holy shit.
I'm serious. I swear
I
to God,
believe
there's
you. I never knew
yeah.
this.
Wow.
There's a big travesty about the entire creation of that game. And it'd be great because they came out with Lego Island sequels and shit like that, but they were never as good as the first one. The first one was big open world, as far as Windows 95 was concerned. Big open world, sort of Grand Theft Auto game, but for kids. And it was always sort of disappointing that they never created a real sequel with that the original production company. It'd be great to see what a Lego Island game would be if that company stayed together and wasn't tanked by the Lego Corporation. And that's always in the back of my head. Yeah, do some reading on that. It's kind of a sad story.
Damn.
Might be a good topic for next episode. Shit.
Yeah, nice.
Look into it. I can't exactly remember off the top of my head, but it's sad, man.
Gotcha.
And that was a foundational video game when I was growing up, as a fucking 7-year-old playing Lego Island, trying to fucking catch the Brickster and shit. And yeah, the original company that made the first one dissolved, and there was a horrific thing that happened as a result of that. But that game was from the viewpoint of a child, was solid, and it'd be cool to see what they would have been able to do after that, all things considered, but it never really happened. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's... Damn, I never knew any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth Googling.
That was a fun game too. Damn.
Yeah.
All right, Jim. What else you got?
Zwick, sorry to go.
Oh, my bad.
I guess, I don't know, Johnny the Homicidal Maniac as a stealth killer.
I could kind of see that. I'll be down.
That
for
could
that.
work. Maybe
Yeah.
like the original NES Metal Gear Solid, or something like that where it's obviously scaled back. That's that's the only thing my brain could come up with.
I was gonna say that was the most Zwick response you could have ever given. A Johnny the Homicidal Maniac.
Dude,
game.
I owned all of them, including the Squee ones, and I feel sick.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
I can't find them. I lost them from moving too many times. They were good. I liked them. Made a lot of cringy internet there's a lot of cringe content with people pretending to be Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. I just remembered this one video where this guy was quoting it, and he was dressing it, and it was oh, thank God I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, good one there. All right, and last up from Burn Retinas. What do you think is the silliest game peripheral that either of you have ever owned or gotten the least amount of use out of? For him, it is the GameCube microphone, which is only working on 2 games, Odama, which is a weird pinball game, and Mario Party 6.
I got it. We Speak.
Oh, you have that?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. It was for Animal Crossing City Folk, and it was supposed to be for everything else to come out on the Wii, which I don't think it was ever used again. Nintendo's released a lot of weird peripherals over the years. I mean, like, they always have. Like, think back to Rob and everything else. The track and field pad, but something about the We Speak, it was just like their answer to voice chat, but it was so so bad and so counterintuitive. That's like the one thing I'm like, I should not have bought that.
Damn. Well, my answer is super easy because I don't have any. Like, literally outside of controllers, I don't know if I have any peripherals, but I'm just going to name something I've played with, and that's Jim's keyboard for the Dreamcast, so we could play Typing of the Dead, because that's frigging really silly to have for a gaming console, because you don't need a keyboard for a console.
Look, it works with Quake 3, it works with Typing of the Dead, and if you want to talk in Phantasy Star Online, and that's about it. It's perfect.
You ever seen that big GameCube controller they have for for Fantasy Star?
I kind of want that.
It's like, like this.
Of course you do, Jim.
It's completely useless in today's day and age because like it doesn't even run anymore. But yeah, no, it's like this friggin' wide.
I want to say the iToy, but I saw my first booby because of the iToy. So
Zwick, here's a little nostalgia for you.
Oh, word, dude! I also do remember having genuinely a good time with the iToys, but that's like the only like peripheral I can think of.
Nice. Jim, you have a lot of them, so.
Yes, I do. I already did a video on the N64 biosensor, which is completely useless, so I'll go with the N64 microphone, which only works on 2 games. Hey You Pikachu, which I don't own, and the reason I have it is for Densha to Go, which is a Japanese-only train simulator for the N64. So,
dude, when I was a kid, one of my friends got his tonsils removed, and his parents were like, "Oh, we'll buy him a game for his, to make him feel better," and they bought him Hey You Pikachu, a game that requires you to speak. And I just remember I was watching him play it. He's like, Pikachu, and like it just Pikachu had he had that question mark over his head, like Pika, and like it was completely unplayable, and he was just like struggling to speak.
And Hey You Pikachu, like it's even worse
Parents
because
are assholes. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's even worse because like it's like tailored for kids, so like unless you hit a certain vocal range, like it just will not pick it up. At least like the train game, like I can yell at it, and even though it's not in Japanese, like it'll kind of do something, but it just yells back at me, so I could be all wrong too. But yeah, Hey You Pikachu is completely useless with that fucking thing. Then
wait, isn't there like a PS2 game where like it won't work unless you say it in a stereotypical Japanese accent?
Really?
It's like this old PS2 game I remember. It's like you're telling you can see through the security cameras, and the woman is like trapped, and you have to guide her out. And she you tell her to shoot specific body parts. I can't remember, but I know it was a PS2 game, and I know that it didn't work unless like you actually like spoke like you were being a like a racist Japanese accent, because apparently the person who did the English for it, their first language was Japanese, and that's why it only worked.
I could see that.
I am definitely going to be looking that up.
Yeah, Brian, buy that.
my grandma, her dog could only like do, you have to like say the commands to it in German, so same thing.
Like, I know I'm not crazy. Tell me when you find it.
No, it sounds like it had like 10,000 games, so I'm sure that's a thing that actually exists.
I remember specifically hearing about it on G4. That's why I remember.
Ah.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
And Grant, you have anything, any weird peripherals?
I'm trying to think. Fuck, like, I can't think of anything for like a mainstream console that I had, but I remember like specifically. So everybody lauds like the Pokemon games, right? Like the Pokemon games are fucking brilliant. At least the earlier ones, Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3 are fucking classics. but I never liked the TV show, and I always really liked the Digimon TV show.
Yes.
And the fucking Digimon games were like never as good as the Pokemon games. But I had like one of the Digivices, and you could plug it into your fucking computer, and like it was terrible. Like it wasn't a good game. It didn't do anything. It was just like, hey, go online, add friends, do battles, and it was just like, but this isn't. It's not good. It's not a good game. It's not a good device. That's the only thing that I can think of that's along those lines, because I didn't have any of like the microphones or cameras or any of those peripherals that you guys are talking about.
So was
But,
that
that's the only thing I can think of.
Was that like an evolution of like, because like the original Digimon were just like Tamagotchis that you could battle with each other.
Yeah.
So is that like along the same lines, but just have like a USB stick sticking out of it?
Yeah, I think it was like the Generation 3 or like the Season 3 one or something like that. And it's like, yeah, you can plug it into your computer. And it's like, what can you do once you plug it into your computer? And it's like, absolutely nothing. It's just like useless. That's the only thing that I can think of, yeah.
Oh, the season where the Digimon were in real life now, and then everyone stopped watching.
To be fair, that was, I would argue, the best season. That was my favorite as a kid growing up, and I enjoyed that one very much. And it had weird sort of like Lovecraftian elements to it and shit like that.
Weren't you saying that was by the guy who did Serial Experiments Lane?
Nikki was saying that, but then I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was like too weird for my little child brain, because like I remember like getting a couple episodes in, I was like, I think I'm out. Like, I'm tapping on this one.
That was like I was like 9 or 10, and I was like right at the cusp of like when kids my age were like, ew, I don't want to watch cartoons anymore. I'm an adult, and it's like, you're 10 years old, shut the fuck up. But then also it's like that level of like, you can sort of understand some of these concepts a little bit better, and it sort of makes a lot more sense than just if it was some childish bullshit sort of thing. And so I feel like I hit that like at the exact correct age, you know?
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
Why Trigun for me is like the deepest anime like I ever saw.
That's a fucking classic.
Quick update, Zwick and everyone. I found the game. It's called Lifeline for PS2.
Yes!
And yeah, we will be making Jim play that, and we will record it.
And that will be your last video ever.
Do I have to say it like a racist Japanese guy, though?
Yes, you do.
You must shoot to the left.
Yeah, you have to do that to make it work.
That was a bit we had like 3 years ago when like anytime we'd ever do a like an old game and it would have like a different Japanese name, and I would do it like, you know, a Japanese samurai and shit like that. Luckily, no one was watching back then.
Right.
No, I did the same thing with like Yakuza. I think my favorite memory with Yakuza was me and my friend at the time. We were playing, and we got the gun early because like guns are very rare in that game. But we got one, and like instead of saving it for a boss, we used it on a side quest where it was like, "Hey, my daughter's with this guy, but he doesn't know honor. Can you teach him honor?" And then like. Fight him in the most honorable way possible. So we just like pull out a gun and just shoot the fuck out of him, but like plug 3 or 4 bullets in him, and he's like, "Thank you, that was the most." It was like the most honorable. It was like he kept going about
all you have
it was
to
the
do
most
is beat
honorable
him.
thing. Yeah, it was the greatest thing ever.
Damn it, Jim.
What?
Now, thanks to South Park, we always just say, you lack discipline. And it's every time Jim and I are doing bad on a game.
It doesn't
every time.
It doesn't help that we went to engineering school and every teacher was either a Middle Eastern guy or an Asian. It's stereotypical Asian guy, like right off the boat. So that was in our formative years, we heard a lot of accents. We were like, we shouldn't be laughing at this, but
yeah.
Oh, you went to a real school. Oh, la-dee-da. I went to visual communications, and now I'm here.
I mean, to be fair, one of us tried, one of us didn't.
Look at us.
No, okay. What was that, Grant?
To be fair, me and Kevin also both majored in communications, so...
And look at us communicating. How about
yeah,
this?
look at us now.
They were way better communicators, so...
Who's the loser now?
Remains to be seen.
Who's the bitch now?
But yeah, that
Thank
wraps up the
you.
Patreon questions for this week. So thank you, everyone.
Awesome.
Hooray.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Jim. So I think we got just the one more, which I was very curious what the hell you meant by this. So
The which
one
is
of our
better?
reoccurring bits we do which is better, just comparing two things and say which is better. Sometimes it's really which is worse. So Jim, even how you wrote it, I don't know what the fuck you mean. So you need to explain this one.
Yeah, see, Brian, you're not on the internet enough, so you don't really
I'm
grasp.
not.
You don't. You're lucky enough that you stay enough off social media, unlike
Yeah, I was
Grant
about to
and
say,
Kevin and
don't
myself.
shame him for that. He's making the
Right.
right
No,
decision.
he makes
Yeah.
way better decisions than us. But, so, if you're on the internet enough that you see that people will compare, certain groups of people, will compare everything to either something in the Harry Potter universe or to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Kill me.
Yeah, this is why I did it,
Fucking
because
kill me,
in
man.
the spirit of Thought Cops, the question for this week is, which is worse? Comparing everything to Harry Potter or comparing everything to Marvel?
Hold on, before we jump into it, can you just explain what do you mean everyone compares everything to them?
It'll be Jesus.
Politics.
Political people.
You
Dude,
guys will be better
mostly-
than me.
I
but-
can think up so many examples.
Like,
Okay, let me actually. Can I hold on? I'm gonna pull this photo up that I saw. I snapped this
Like
photo.
for-
I'm not gonna read the license plate of the car, but there is a car parked on the block for me recently with one of the most ridiculous license plates ever. So, I'm gonna read you each and every bumper sticker. It says one says Voldemort votes Republican.
Oh God.
One says Leslie Knope, 2016 president.
Oh no.
One just says Khaleesi in the most disgusting font possible.
Please kill me.
And
Just kill
then
me now.
just the Zelda Triforce. And then next to it is an Elizabeth Warren for president.
What color was their hair and how many cats did they have?
It was blue, green, and orange, and one septum piercing. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Innumerable.
Okay, so that makes more. So they'll basically take characters from the movies or stuff, comparing
I'm gonna
them.
have to say it's
Yeah.
gonna be Harry Potter from a long shot because I keep seeing more examples of that, way more than I ever do see anything from Marvel.
I feel like Marvel stands typically just kind of over glorify the movies. Like a Marvel nut typically will be like, you will like, this is the greatest shot in the history of cinema. It's mostly just like saying that like those are the only good movies, whereas like Harry Potter people are always comparing politics, like Donald Trump is Voldemort and Pete Buttigieg is Harry Potter, whatever.
Yeah.
And actually, from looking at that
Man.
series of bumper stickers, I would almost argue Game of Thrones is almost as bad.
If anyone says the cinematography in Marvel is better than than Drive, I would be furiously upset. if
Yeah,
they
there was-
actually
there was
genuinely-
a-
Drive, yeah.
There was a huge push where people were like, a bunch of Marvel stands were saying like comparing shots from Marvel movies to like Martin Scorsese movies because he said he didn't like
Oh, no.
he didn't like superhero movies, and it was just like, guys, like, sit down.
Dude,
Fuck, you are right,
I
yeah.
hate to disagree with you because I'm so into the fucking like political shit, and this is for like my own level of consciousness, and this doesn't come out into like the Thought Cops show too much because I don't like to fucking get political, and I don't like to talk down to people, and I don't
Well,
like
sometimes
to
you do.
get yeah, you're right.
Well,
you're
he
right.
only does
Okay,
it to
fucking-
me. I'm the guy. I'm the whipping boy.
That's correct. But I know for a fact, and this has happened a couple of times, and it drives me up a fucking wall, more so than the fucking Harry Potter shit does. But I know for a fact, like, Sam Cedar, who, like, does the Majority Report, and I'm a big fan of the show, and, like anything else, right? You don't agree with 100% of everything, but that's just life, is because you're a different person and other people are different people than you, and you don't have to agree with everything. But I'm a big fan of the Majority Report, and Sam Cedar was debating Tim Pool about the concept of like utilitarianism, and Sam Cedar, who's in his 50s and has children, was debating Tim Pool, who's 34 years old, and Tim Pool says something along the lines of like, well, in this scenario, who's the bad guy in the Marvel movies? Thanos.
Yep.
Thanos is the utilitarian, and Captain America is the ideologue or whatever the fuck. And it's just like, you're 34 years old debating healthcare, you fucking moron. And you're using Thanos, and I will be completely fair. Tim Pool has done that a couple of times where he utilizes like the Thanos versus the Captain America dialectic, or I've heard Dave Rubin do the same thing where they like, and these are people that are like for some reason taken seriously within the political pundit sphere, and they utilize these fucking things, and to a greater degree, because anybody can laugh off fucking Harry Potter as being like of some level of just like, yeah, it's a children's book, but like Tim Pool has like over 1 million fucking YouTube subscribers. People listen to him, and he's like, he's shitting out this fucking bullshit of like, Thanos is a utilitarian, and I'm against utilitarianism, and I will vote third party, or I'll do whatever the fuck as a result of watching the Marvel movies is enough to like make me go full fucking the Darren Aronofsky movie Pi and just take a fucking power drill and shove it into my fucking right temple as a result of listening to Tim Pool try and explain like the very complicated, nuanced argument of healthcare through the lens of a fucking Marvel movie.
Dude, I killed.
So wait, are you
respected those guys' opinions?
I don't remember what the question is.
Wait, Grant.
You got it right. You answered correctly.
Yeah.
Just know that.
Yes, you did.
Thank you.
I just am very glad I am not in that sphere of recognizing people
You lucky
use.
fuck.
I mean,
Yeah.
the only thing I've ever noticed is that I only took it to the hardcore fandom, and this is when Harry Potter was still. Now, with the new game coming out, I'm starting to see people talk more about it, but I felt like the fandom was a little bit, seemed more ridiculous for whatever reason, like when people would get into the Harry Potter shit versus the Marvel stuff. But that's because I was a kid who grew up with Marvel comics, so I'm also underplaying it. And I'm like, yeah, I really like the movies. I loved the comics as a kid. But I didn't hear people calling each other like the names from the Harry Potter and like
Brian, you're
Voldemort
such
and
a
all
You
that.
fucking Hufflepuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was gonna say too, like, I used to be on like the dating apps and stuff, and there was like instant nope if like someone has their Harry Potter house in their bio, like.
I heard that's a thing.
Yeah.
You know what's worse? Chicks holding fishes or deer carcasses and being like, "Hey, let's date," and I'm less like, I'm just gonna.
This sounds like an Iowa thing.
Are you sure that was those were guys, Zwick? That's the
Those were
guys.
no, these are women.
Can you tell out there?
Yeah, you can, but just barely. Oh,
You poor
everyone's
bastard.
homophobic.
No,
Yeah,
but Jim, as soon as I saw what the fuck you put up, I was like, this is going to be another one of these weird internet things. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, like between the two of us, like I'm the internet guy for all of us. So like Brian luckily keeps himself away from that world, and
You know what? A good way to
he lives a happier life because of it.
Yeah, a good way to
Yeah.
stay away from the internet thing, but look at it still, is listen to Thought Cops.
I was gonna
That's
say.
a very good point.
Like, I will
Yeah.
say that, like, if you hate the internet but are like kind of curious but don't want to be in it, just listen to Thought Cops. It's like
I have,
like, the
I have
best
had
thing
people
that's-
tell me that.
If you want to know the
Yeah.
meme of the week, like listen to Thought Cops, and like they
Yeah.
will anguish over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't
Oh,
have to you don't have to spend 11 hours a day on Twitter. Just
Yeah.
spend like an hour and 20 minutes a week listening to Thought
Yeah.
Cops.
Yeah, that is a very good pitch for the show. Unfortunately, I've seen a number of fans be like, "I'll I'll ask like, oh, does anybody know anything about once again Soupgate? And people will be like, nope, waiting for the newest Thought Cops episode to find out what it is. And it's like, fuck, man, no, I need to know so I can talk about it.
You guys are like the nostalgia critic, but like actually self-aware, where you're like, I know what I'm talking about. It's like completely stupid, but like it's part of my show. I have to know it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You poor bastards.
Yeah.
But no, that is a great point. And honestly, outside of what they just said, you guys, I love that you guys are as consistent as you are. I like the variety of guests you've always provided, and you give comedic but interesting insights on all the topics you present. So it's not just, you're not clearly just doing characters. You're also are putting some thought into it. And I've always enjoyed it. I enjoyed coming on your show, and we really definitely appreciate all three of you coming on ours.
Absolutely, man. This has been a blast.
Anytime,
yeah.
man.
Yeah, dude, I really appreciate you guys working around my wacky schedule, because like I edit on the days that you usually record, and then there was like a more than 0% chance that I might have not made it. So like, thanks for working around.
No problem at all, man.
Yeah, we're glad you could all come on. And Zwick, I mean, we've had Asterios on our show before too, so you have that connection with our show as well. So
Yeah.
It's almost like we had to have you on with everyone else.
Oh yeah, and also like if people haven't listened, listen to the Vito episode. That is a very good episode. That guy's just a fucking hoot to listen to.
For both of our shows, we both had him on. They were both great episodes.
Oh yeah,
yeah, absolutely. No, but before we sign off, guys, plug away anything. Where can we find you? Where can anyone subscribe, follow, anything?
Yeah, I mean, if you just honestly Google Thought Cops, we got pretty decent SEO. You can follow our account on Instagram. It's just @ThoughtCops. Twitter, we're @RealThoughtCops because somebody is sitting on the name and he hasn't used Twitter in 5 years. So go ahead. Go.
If you all want to do some sort of a campaign where you master report the guy who has @RealThoughtCops
No,
to get him
because then we
kicked
still
off,
can't get it if they mass report it. That won't work.
I don't think that's true, but I don't know, and I'm not in the correct mind to tell.
Yeah. Otherwise, my personal account is twitter.com/Kevin POTUS, PODAS. And
as opposed to President of the United States.
Yeah.
Mine is just @Grant Mooney.
Yeah, and I think
MOONEY.
same for Instagram. Yeah, @Kevin POTUS. Yeah.
Mine's
Nice.
like @grant.moon.e
On
because
Instagram?
Grant Mooney is taken. On Instagram. Yeah, but on Twitter, Grant Mooney.
I don't know why you'd want to follow me, because all I do is make puns about busting. But Twitter.com/dude20. I think I made one joke that I was proud of and nobody liked, which was, what was it? Oh yeah, it was when you want to eat a 9mm sandwich but you're all out of mayo. #white people problems. Nobody fucking liked it, and I thought it was the most hilarious thing. That was like the one funny thing I made. Everything else is just me making jokes about coming, and that's it. But yeah, just honestly,
I
just go
suppose
to
we should also. Yeah, we should also mention where to find the show. You can listen on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube. We're streaming on Twitch, twitch.tv/ThoughtCops. Like I said, just Google Thought Cops and follow.
Patreon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Patreon.com/ThoughtCops. We do a bunch of extra bonus content, different tiers, throw us a few bucks a month. And you too can listen to our bonus episodes as well as hang out in the live chats when we record with guests. Because sometimes, we do get the occasional, bigger whatever guest. And it's like, oh, there's only 3 people in here. Cool. I can just, whatever, talk to this guy who had a fucking TV show. However.
Never had a chance, yeah.
Yeah.
No, and guys, do yourself a favor. Support these guys. As you've heard from this episode, they are great. We love talking with them. We love being on our show, and I think it's safe to say we'll be reoccurring. One way or another, we're going to keep talking.
Yeah,
I enjoy
absolutely.
talking with these.
Oh, and actually,
for
before
sure,
we
man.
go, Nico in the chat before the show even started asked
Oh, God.
Zwick to get his mom on the podcast.
No. Yeah, she's in bed now. Sorry.
She stopped in before we recorded, so we tried.
Yeah, she did say hi, but
Yeah, because one time Kevin was on the Mega 64 poorly played stream, and
With
Zwick's
Garrett,
mom
yeah.
popped in for, with Garrett Hunter. She
Yeah.
popped in for a while, and it was like the most entertaining thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Like-
incredible.
You can't
Yeah.
simply summon my mom. My mom appears at will, whether you choose it or not.
That's what you did with us.
Yeah, it's funny because
Nice.
it's funny too because like she came and it's like, oh, I understand why you are the way you are right now. That was like the funniest fucking part.
Wow.
Like I think Kevin.
All
you
right,
said it, the
guys. Well, thank
bombastism.
you all once again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks. for
And
having
we
us on.
truly appreciate all three of you guys, like you said. Till next time, everyone out there, remember, drink your beers and play your games responsibly, and cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.